Welcome back to Benton What Ifs. If you enjoy creative tweets, please like and subscribe. Let's start today's story.
What if Ben 10 was in Pokémon Universe Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land? Lightning cracked across the sky as Ben Tennyson tumbled through what felt like reality itself, tearing at the seams. 1 second he'd been facing off against Obsidian, some new dimension-hopping creep with a serious power complex, and the next, the Omnitrix had sparked wildly on his wrist as Obsidian's portal gun misfired. "Gwen! Kevin!" Ben shouted uselessly as the swirling vortex closed behind him. He hit the ground hard, mud splashing up around him as rain pounded his body. Ben pushed himself up on his elbows, spitting out rainwater and blinking through the downpour. This wasn't Bellwood. Not even close. Unfamiliar trees surrounded him in a forest he'd never seen before, and in the distance, strange lights twinkled through the storm. A city, maybe? Great. Just perfect, Ben muttered, checking the Omnitrix. The normally green interface glowed an alarming yellow, symbols cycling rapidly. "Don't you dare glitch out on me now. I need XLR8 or Jetray to figure out where I am." The watch sparked, sending painful electricity up Ben's arm. "Ow. Fine, be that way." Thunder boomed overhead as Ben trudged through the mud toward the distant lights. His soaked jacket clung to his shoulders, and his sneakers squelched with each step. The forest was eerily quiet despite the storm, no familiar animal sounds, just the occasional rustle from bushes that made Ben pause suspiciously. After 15 minutes of hiking, the Omnitrix suddenly blared loudly, its faceplate spinning wildly. "What now?" Ben groaned, holding his wrist up for inspection. The display had turned completely white, symbols flashing across it faster than he could track. No, don't reset, don't reset. Too late. The familiar green glow spread up Ben's arm as the Omnitrix initiated a full recalibration sequence. "Not now." Ben shouted over another crash of thunder. The device beeped rapidly, and suddenly the pain vanished. The interface reverted to green, but the silhouettes displayed were completely unfamiliar. "What did you do?" Ben asked, scrolling through bizarre new forms. None of his aliens were visible. "Azimuth is gonna kill me if I broke you again." A rustling sound nearby made Ben spin around. Something was moving through the underbrush, something big. "Screw it," Ben muttered, slapping down on the Omnitrix without bothering to select a form. "Please be Humongousaur." The familiar transformation energy engulfed him, but immediately Ben knew something was wrong. Instead of growing larger, he shrank dramatically. Heat rushed through his body, concentrating at the base of his spine where, alarmingly, he felt something growing. His skin hardened, turning scaly and orange-red. When the transformation completed, Ben tried to look at his reflection in a puddle. A small reptilian face stared back at him, orange, with big blue eyes and a flame burning steadily on the tip of his tail. "What the?" Ben's voice came out higher, almost cute. "What am I?" The bushes parted and a massive bear-like creature emerged, standing on its hind legs. It had a white ring on its belly and a fierce expression that needed no translation. "Ursaring," it roared, charging forward. Pure instinct took over. Ben opened his mouth to yell and instead shot a burst of flames at the creature. The bear thing reared back, surprised but not deterred. "Okay, fire powers. I can work with this," Ben muttered, dodging a massive paw swipe. "Man, I'm tiny. This would be a great time for some muscle memory to kick in." As if answering his wishes, Ben felt knowledge flooding his consciousness, not quite Omnitrix instructions, but some deeper understanding of this form's capabilities. He sucked in air and felt heat building in his chest. The bear creature charged again. Ben waited until the last second, then released a spinning vortex of flames while jumping aside. The bear roared in pain, its fur singed. "That's right. Back off, buddy." Ben shouted, surprising himself with his newfound agility as he scrambled up a tree trunk. "I might be small, but I'm," the branch beneath him cracked. Ben tumbled through the air, landing hard on his back. The flame on his tail hissed in the mud. Ursaring. The creature loomed over him, raising both paws for a finishing blow. A flash of light burst between them, and a small spherical object hit the ground. In a beam of red energy, the bear vanished. "Got it," a woman's voice called triumphantly. Ben scrambled to his feet, coming face to face with a tall woman in a rain-spattered lab coat. She looked to be in her early 30s, with dark skin and curly hair pulled into a practical ponytail. She adjusted her glasses, studying Ben with scientific curiosity. "Well, hello there," she said gently. "A Charmander, out in this weather. You're lucky I came along when I did." Ben backed away cautiously. This woman had somehow captured that bear monster in a tiny ball, and he wasn't about to be next. "Don't worry, little one. I'm not going to catch you," she smiled, crouching down. "I'm Professor Maple. The research station is just ahead. You'll be safer there until this storm passes." Ben hesitated. His options were limited: stay in the forest with who knows what other creatures, or follow this seemingly friendly person to shelter. The Omnitrix would time out eventually, but he had no idea when. "Char," he said experimentally, then immediately felt ridiculous. Was that all he could say in this form? "That's right," Professor Maple nodded encouragingly. "Come on. Your tail flame is getting dangerously low." Ben glanced back. The fire on his tail had indeed diminished to a weak flicker. Somehow, he knew that was bad news. "Charmander," he agreed reluctantly, following the professor as she led the way through the trees. After a short walk, they reached a modern research building nestled in a clearing. The professor ushered Ben inside, where warm air immediately began drying his scales. "There we go. Much better," she said, grabbing a towel from a nearby rack and offering it to Ben. When he just stared at it, she gently dried his head herself. "You're an unusual Charmander. Those blue eyes aren't typical. Are you someone's partner who got lost?" Ben shook his head vigorously. "A wild Charmander in Kalos?" "Fascinating," Professor Maple murmured, making notes on a tablet. "And so far from any known habitat." The lab was filled with complex equipment Ben didn't recognize, though some pieces reminded him of Asmatha's workshop. Screens displayed data about various creatures, presumably more like the bear thing and whatever he had turned into. Suddenly, the Omnitrix symbol on Ben's chest began beeping. Professor Maple's eyes widened at the sound. "What is," she began, but Ben was already engulfed in green light. When the transformation reversed, Ben stood before her in his human form, jeans, jacket, and the Omnitrix prominently displayed on his wrist. "Okay, so that explains a few things," Ben said to the stunned professor. "Hi. I'm Ben. Ben Tennyson. And I'm pretty sure I'm not from around here." Professor Maple blinked rapidly, her scientific mind visibly processing what she'd just witnessed. To her credit, she didn't scream or run, instead, she adjusted her glasses and took a deep breath. "That," she said calmly, "was not a normal Pokémon transformation." "Pokémon?" Ben repeated. "Is that what that fire lizard thing was?" "You truly aren't from here, are you?" Professor Maple set down her tablet. "Please, sit down. I think we have a lot to discuss." Before Ben could respond, the lab door burst open. A girl about Ben's age rushed in, dripping wet from the storm. She had short black hair with a streak of blue, intense gray eyes, and an athletic build. 3 red and white balls were clipped to her belt. "Professor. Your equipment picked up a massive energy spike and she stopped, eyes locking on Ben. "Who's this?" "Maya, perfect timing," Professor Maple said. "This is Ben. He's had quite an unusual arrival in Kalos." Maya sized Ben up with obvious skepticism. "He doesn't look like a researcher." "I'm not," Ben admitted. "I'm just a guy with a watch that lets me turn into Al, he paused, correcting himself. Into Pokémon, apparently. Maya's expression turned from skeptical to annoyed. Right. And I'm the champion. She turned to Professor Maple. Professor, we don't have time for jokes. That energy reading was off the charts. That would be me, Ben said, holding up his wrist to display the Omnitrix. Interdimensional travel tends to make a splash. Interdimensional? Maya scoffed. Professor, is he serious? Professor Maple was already typing rapidly on her computer. The energy signature matches exactly with Ben's appearance. And I just watched him transform from a Charmander back into his human form. That's impossible, Maya stated flatly. People don't turn into Pokémon. Yeah, well, where I'm from, these creatures don't exist, Ben countered. So maybe let's all agree we've stepped into weird territory. Professor Maple held up a hand for silence. Maya, I know this sounds far-fetched, but my readings don't lie. Something tore through the dimensional barrier exactly when my instruments detected that energy spike. Maya crossed her arms, still unconvinced. Prove it. Transform again. Ben checked the Omnitrix. I would, but it needs to recharge. Give it like 10 minutes. Convenient, Maya muttered. Look, I don't need to prove anything to you, Ben said, irritation rising. I just need to figure out how to get home. Where exactly is home? Professor Maple asked gently. Bellwood. It's in, Ben paused, realizing the futility. It's in another dimension. A place called Earth. This is Earth, Maya pointed out. Not my Earth, Ben replied. My Earth has aliens, not Pokémon. I was fighting this villain called Obsidian who had this dimension-hopping tech, and something went wrong. Next thing I know, I'm here, my watch is going haywire, and I'm turning into a fire lizard instead of heat blast. Professor Maple's eyes lit up with scientific curiosity. Your device, this watch, it allows you to transform into different creatures. Ben nodded. It's called the Omnitrix. It contains DNA samples of different aliens from my universe. But when I got here, it must have recalibrated to match this world's lifeforms. Pokémon DNA instead of alien DNA, Professor Maple murmured. Fascinating. You don't actually believe this, do you? Maya asked incredulously. The Omnitrix suddenly beeped and flashed green. Perfect timing, Ben said with a grin. Now I can prove it. Just stand back. He cycled through the silhouettes, trying to find something recognizable. He selected one that looked vaguely bird-like and slapped down on the interface. Green energy enveloped him again, and this time he felt his body shrinking even more dramatically than before. Feathers sprouted all over him, his nose and mouth fused into a beak, and his arms transformed into wings. When the light faded, Ben looked down to see a tiny yellow bird body. Pidgey, he chirped involuntarily, then mentally groaned at his limited vocabulary. Maya's jaw dropped. That's not possible. Professor Maple clapped her hands together. Extraordinary. A human with the ability to transform into Pokémon at will. Ben flapped his wings experimentally, finding it surprisingly easy to hover in place. He flew a quick circle around Maya's head, chirping triumphantly before landing on the lab table. Convinced now? Professor Maple asked Maya. The girl nodded slowly, reaching out a tentative finger toward Ben. May I? Ben chirped affirmatively, and Maya gently stroked the feathers on his head. Despite himself, Ben found it rather pleasant. This is unreal, Maya whispered. How are you doing this? Ben could only chirp in response, frustrated by his inability to speak. After a few minutes, the Omnitrix timed out again, and he returned to human form, now sitting cross-legged on the lab table. Like I said, Ben explained, hopping down, the Omnitrix lets me transform. Usually into aliens, but it seems to have adapted to this world. Maya stepped back, processing this new reality. So you're stuck here. In our world? For now, Ben admitted. Unless I can find Obsidian. He came through the portal too, I'm sure of it. He's the key to getting home. Professor Maple nodded thoughtfully. Well, until then, you'll need to adapt. This is Kalos region, one of several in our world where humans and Pokémon live together. Most young people become Pokémon trainers, capturing and raising Pokémon to compete in battles or other competitions. And those ball things? Ben pointed to Maya's belt. That's how you capture them. Pokeballs, Maya confirmed, detaching one and enlarging it with a press of the center button. They convert Pokémon to energy for storage and transport. Ben frowned. That sounds kind of wrong. Like keeping them prisoner. Maya bristled. It's not like that. Pokémon and humans are partners. We help each other grow stronger. Most Pokémon actually enjoy the partnership, Professor Maple added. It's a symbiotic relationship that's evolved over thousands of years. Ben wasn't entirely convinced but decided to reserve judgment. So what now? I'm trapped in a world I know nothing about, with a malfunctioning Omnitrix and a villain on the loose. First, you need to learn the basics, Professor Maple said decisively. Maya is one of the most talented young trainers in Kalos. Perhaps she could help you. No way, Maya interrupted. I'm not babysitting some dimension-hopping newbie. I have my own research to do for you, Professor. Ben crossed his arms. Trust me, I don't need a babysitter. I've been saving my universe since I was 10. Professor Maple sighed. Maya, the energy readings that brought you here are directly connected to Ben's arrival. If you want to continue your research project on anomalous Pokémon energy, he might be your best lead. Maya's expression softened slightly. Fine. But he needs to pull his own weight. I always do, Ben replied with confidence. So what's first in Pokémon 101? First, Professor Maple said, walking to a nearby machine, you'll need a partner of your own, one that doesn't involve transforming yourself. The machine opened to reveal 3 Pokeballs on a tray. These are starter Pokémon I've been saving for new trainers. Since you're in quite the unique situation, I think you qualify. Ben peered at the 3 balls, each marked with a different symbol, a leaf, a flame, and a water droplet. You can choose between Chase-Pin, a grass type, Fennekin, a fire type, or Froakie, a water type, Professor Maple explained. I don't know the first thing about any of them, Ben admitted. Maya rolled her eyes. Typical. Froakie is the most versatile, Fennekin has the most raw power, and Chase-Pin has the best defense. Ben considered his options. I'm used to versatility with the Omnitrix. I'll go with Froakie. Professor Maple handed him the ball with the water symbol. Good choice. Press the button to release him. Ben did as instructed. Red energy burst from the ball and materialized into a blue frog-like creature with big yellow eyes and what looked like a collar of bubbles around its neck. Froak. It said, tilting its head curiously at Ben. Hey there, Ben said, crouching down. I'm Ben. Looks like we're partners now. Froakie stared at him for a long moment, then hopped forward and extended a webbed hand. Ben shook it gently, smiling. I think he likes you, Professor Maple observed. That's unusual. Froakie are typically quite picky about their trainers. Maya looked mildly impressed despite herself. At least you've got good taste in Pokémon. You'll also need this, Professor Maple handed Ben a red device. This is a Pokédex. It contains information about all known Pokémon species. It will help you learn about this world. Ben accepted it, immediately flipping it open to scan Froakie. A mechanical voice announced, Froakie, the bubble frog Pokémon. It protects its skin by covering its body in delicate bubbles. Beneath its happy-go-lucky air, it keeps a watchful eye on its surroundings. Cool, Ben said, scanning through more information about his new partner. And these, Professor Maple continued, handing him 5 empty Pokeballs, will let you capture more Pokémon to build your team. A team? Ben asked. Most trainers carry up to 6 Pokémon, Maya explained. Different types give you advantages in different situations. Ben nodded slowly. Like having the right alien for the right job. If you want to find this obsidian person, you'll need to be able to defend yourself properly, Professor Maple pointed out. Your transformation ability is remarkable, but having Pokémon partners will help you blend in and give you backup. Speaking of transformation, Maya said, eyeing the Omnitrix, that's not something you should advertise. People will either think you're a freak or try to exploit your power. Story of my life, Ben muttered. Don't worry, I'm used to the secret identity drill. Thunder boomed outside, reminding them all of the ongoing storm. Professor Maple checked her watch. It's getting late. You should both stay here tonight. Maya, the guest room is prepared as always. Ben, you can take the couch in my office. Tomorrow, we can start your crash course in being a Pokémon trainer. After a quick meal, during which Ben discovered Pokémon food wasn't half bad when Froakie offered him a taste, Professor Maple showed them to their accommodations. Ben flopped onto the office couch, Froakie hopping up beside him. So, Ben said to his new partner, this is pretty weird for both of us, huh? Froakie, the Pokémon agreed, settling into a comfortable position. Ben stared at the ceiling, thoughts racing. I need to get home eventually. Gwen and Kevin are probably freaking out. But first I need to find Obsidian before he causes trouble here. Froakie made a questioning sound. He's bad news, Ben explained. The kind of guy who'd exploit any power he can get his hands on. And from what little I've seen today, there's plenty of power in this world to exploit. Froakie nodded sagely, as if understanding perfectly. You and me, we're gonna make a good team, Ben said, smiling at the little frog. Get some sleep. Something tells me tomorrow's going to be a crash course in Pokémon 101. Ben woke to sunlight streaming through the office windows and Froakie perched on his chest, staring at him intently. Morning, Ben yawned. You been awake long? Froak, his partner replied, hopping to the floor and gesturing toward the door. Ben checked the Omnitrix, fully charged and seemingly stable, at least for now. The interface still displayed unfamiliar silhouettes, but they appeared clearer than yesterday. Following Froakie, Ben made his way to the lab's main room where Professor Maple was already working at her computers. Maya sat at a table, munching on toast while reviewing something on a tablet. Good morning, Ben, Professor Maple greeted cheerfully. Sleep well? Well enough, Ben replied, accepting a plate of breakfast from the professor. So what's the plan today? Training, Maya said without looking up. If you're going to survive here, you need to learn the basics, fast. I've already contacted some colleagues about interdimensional energy, Professor Maple added. If your villain is here, he'll likely cause similar energy spikes. We can monitor for them. Ben nodded, scarfing down his breakfast. So I learned to be a trainer while we wait for Obsidian to make a move. Sounds simple enough. Maya finally looked up, a challenging gleam in her eye. Simple. You haven't seen anything yet. Meet me outside in 10 minutes. Bring Froakie. Exactly 10 minutes later, Ben stood in a clearing outside the research station. The storm had passed, revealing a beautiful forest bathed in morning light. Froakie sat on his shoulder, looking eager. Maya was already waiting, a Pokeball in hand. First lesson, Pokémon battling. It's how trainers test their skills and how Pokémon grow stronger. You mean we fight each other's Pokémon? Ben asked, uncertain about this arrangement. Exactly, Maya confirmed, enlarging her Pokeball. Don't worry, Pokémon enjoy battling. It's in their nature. They rarely get seriously hurt, and we have healing centers everywhere. If you say so, Ben said, looking at Froakie. You up for this, buddy? Froakie, his partner replied enthusiastically, hopping down from his shoulder. Go, Fletchling! Maya called, throwing her ball. In a flash of light, a small robin-like bird appeared, chirping loudly. Ben instinctively reached for the Pokédex, scanning the new Pokémon. Fletchling, the tiny robin Pokémon. Despite the beauty of its lilting voice, it's merciless to intruders that enter its territory. Flying beats water, Maya explained. Type advantages are crucial in battles. But a good trainer can overcome type disadvantages with strategy. Good to know, Ben replied, already thinking. Alright, Froakie, let's see what you can do. Use, You don't know his moves, do you? Maya sighed. Check your Pokédex. Ben quickly pulled up Froakie's information. Okay, got it. Froakie, use bubble. Froakie puffed up his cheeks and released a stream of bubbles toward Fletchling. Dodge and use peck. Maya commanded. The bird swooped gracefully around the bubbles and dive-bombed Froakie, its beak glowing. Quick, jump out of the way. Ben called. Froakie leaped impressively high, avoiding the attack. Ben grinned, this wasn't so different from coordinating with his alien forms. Now try pound while you're above it. Froakie twisted in midair, swinging its fist down onto Fletchling's back. The bird squawked in surprise. Not bad, Maya admitted. But predictable. Fletchling, quick attack. Before Ben or Froakie could react, Fletchling became a blur of motion, striking Froakie hard and sending the frog tumbling back. You okay, Froakie? Ben called anxiously. His partner hopped back up, looking determined rather than hurt. Froak. Awesome. Then let's try something different, Ben said, thinking quickly. Use your frubbles to slow Fletchling down. Maya raised an eyebrow. Frubbles? Froakie seemed to understand perfectly. It reached into the bubble collar around its neck, pulling out sticky foam that it hurled toward the flying Pokémon. That's not a standard move, Maya noted with surprise. I'm not a standard trainer, Ben replied with a grin. The foam caught Fletchling's wing, throwing off its balance. Now use water pulse. Ben commanded, seeing the move listed in the Pokédex. Froakie formed a sphere of water between its hands and launched it at the struggling bird. The attack hit directly, sending Fletchling crashing to the ground. Fletchling, can you continue? Maya asked. Her Pokémon chirped affirmatively, shaking off the foam and taking flight again, though clearly weakened. Finish with quick attack. Maya ordered. Counter with your own quick attack. Ben called. Both Pokémon shot forward in blurs of speed, colliding in midair. When they separated, Fletchling fluttered weakly, then fell to the ground with swirling eyes. Fletchling is unable to battle, Professor Maple announced from the research station's doorway, where she'd been observing. Froakie wins. Ben pumped his fist in celebration. Way to go, Froakie. His partner hopped back to him, looking proud but tired. Maya recalled Fletchling to its ball. Beginner's luck, she said, but her small smile betrayed her impressed state. You've got decent instincts, I'll give you that. Thanks, Ben replied. Though Froakie did all the real work. Professor Maple approached, carrying a small machine. Here, let me heal your Pokémon. She placed Fletchling's ball in one slot and sprayed Froakie with a potion from the device. Both Pokémon were instantly revitalized. That's convenient, Ben remarked. Back home, we don't have instant healing technology for everyone. Pokémon centers provide this service in every town, Professor Maple explained. It's essential infrastructure in our world. So what's next in Trainer 101? Ben asked, as Froakie happily climbed back onto his shoulder. Catching your first wild Pokémon, Maya said. There's more to being a trainer than just battling. You need to build a balanced team. Professor Maple nodded in agreement. The forest around the lab is full of wild Pokémon. It's a perfect training ground. Before we do that, Ben said, I want to try something. He activated the Omnitrix, cycling through the available forms. If I'm going to understand this world, I should experience it from a Pokémon's perspective too. That's actually not a bad idea, Professor Maple conceded. The scientific insights could be valuable. Ben selected a form that looked like a small dog and slapped down the interface. Green light enveloped him, and he felt his body changing, growing fur, developing enhanced senses, dropping to all fours. When the transformation completed, Ben found himself as a small, blue canine Pokémon with black markings and a keen sense of his surroundings. He could feel energy, aura, somehow he knew it was called, radiating from Maya, Professor Maple, and especially strongly from Froakie. Riolu. Maya identified him immediately. The pre-evolved form of Lucario. They're extremely rare in Kalos. Ben tried to speak but could only manage Rio. Riolu. He concentrated, remembering how Asmuth had once explained that the Omnitrix provided a translation function. He focused on that aspect, and suddenly found he could project his thoughts. This is weird, Ben's voice echoed telepathically. But also kind of awesome. You can communicate telepathically as Riolu? Professor Maple gasped. Extraordinary. I think it's the Omnitrix, Ben explained, experimenting with movement in his new form. It's adapting to give me full functionality. Froakie approached cautiously, then relaxed when he sensed Ben's familiar presence. The two bumped fists, or paw and webbed hand, in a gesture of friendship. I can feel everything, Ben said in wonder. The life force in plants, the emotions you're both giving off. Maya, you're impressed but trying not to show it. Maya crossed her arms defensively. I am not. Ben laughed, the sound coming out as a series of yips while his telepathic voice remained human. This is going to be useful. Let's go catch some Pokémon. The trio ventured deeper into the forest, Ben remaining in Riolu form to experience the world through Pokémon senses. He discovered he could sense wild Pokémon before seeing them, giving the group an advantage. There's something up ahead, Ben alerted them, pointing with his paw. Two of them, in that clearing. They crept forward carefully until they could see a pair of butterfly-like Pokémon fluttering among wildflowers. Vivillon, Maya whispered. Bug and flying type. Good find. How do I catch one? Ben asked telepathically. Weaken it in battle first, Maya explained. Then throw a Pokeball when it's vulnerable. Ben nodded, looking to Froakie who hopped forward eagerly. Ready, buddy. As they entered the clearing, the Vivillon noticed them immediately, one flying away while the other stayed to defend its territory. Perfect, Maya murmured. Remember type advantages, water isn't particularly effective against bug, but Froakie's physical moves should work fine. Froakie, quick attack. Ben commanded telepathically, finding that his partner understood him perfectly in this form. The frog Pokémon shot forward, striking Vivillon before it could react. The butterfly retaliated with a gust of wind from its wings that pushed Froakie back. That's Gust, Maya identified. Fighting back with a flying move. Ben assessed the situation. Froakie, use your frubbles to pin its wings. Once again, Froakie reached for the foam around its neck and flung it with precision. The sticky substance caught one of Vivillon's wings, causing it to list to the side and struggle to stay airborne. Now water pulse, but not too strong, we want to catch it, not knock it out. Froakie formed a smaller water sphere than before, launching it with controlled force. The attack hit Vivillon, sending it tumbling to the ground, wings too wet and sticky to fly. Now, throw the Pokeball. Maya urged. Ben grabbed one of the empty balls with his paw and tossed it awkwardly. Despite his clumsiness in this form, the ball struck Vivillon, converting it to energy and drawing it inside. The ball fell to the ground and began to shake. What's happening? Ben asked anxiously. It's trying to escape, Professor Maple explained. If the ball stops shaking, you've caught it. The three watched tensely as the ball wobbled once, twice, 3 times, then clicked with a shower of sparkles. You did it. Professor Maple cheered. Your first capture. Ben reverted to human form as the Omnitrix timed out, running forward to pick up the ball. That was amazing. I actually caught a Pokémon. Not bad for a rookie, Maya admitted. Though your throwing technique needs work. Ben laughed, releasing Vivillon from its ball. The butterfly emerged, looking slightly confused but no longer hostile. Its wings had dried, the frubbles having dissolved. Hey there, Ben said gently. Sorry about the rough introduction. I'm Ben, and this is Froakie. Want to join our team? The Vivillon fluttered around Ben's head, then landed delicately on his shoulder in apparent acceptance. I think that's a yes, Professor Maple smiled. You're building quite the diverse team already. The group continued through the forest, with Ben catching a glimpse of training life. Maya showed him how to set up camp, prepare special food for different types of Pokémon, and basic grooming techniques. By late afternoon, Ben had added a cater pie to his growing team after Vivillon helped battle and weaken it. 3 Pokémon in one day, Maya noted as they headed back toward the research station. You're moving faster than most new trainers. I'm a quick study, Ben replied. Plus, having a good teacher helps. Maya tried to hide her smile at the compliment. We've barely scratched the surface. Tomorrow we should. She was interrupted by an alarm blaring from the direction of the research station. All 3 broke into a run, reaching the building to find Professor Maple staring intently at her monitors. What's wrong? Ben asked, rushing to her side. Energy readings, she replied grimly. Similar to the ones from your arrival, but concentrated in Lumiose City. It has to be your villain, Obsidian. Ben's expression hardened. How far is Lumiose City? About a day's journey on foot, Maya answered. But we can get there faster if we catch the train from Aquacord Town. That's only a few hours from here. Then that's where we're headed, Ben said decisively, checking his Pokémon and the Omnitrix. If Obsidian is there, I need to find him before he causes serious damage. Professor Maple printed out the energy readings. Take these. They might help you track him within the city. And take these extra Pokeballs and supplies. Ben accepted everything gratefully, packing them into a backpack the professor provided. Thanks for all your help. I'm coming with you, Maya announced, surprising everyone including herself. When Ben raised an eyebrow, she quickly added, to make sure you don't mess up. You still barely know anything about this world. Sure, Ben said with a knowing smile. It has nothing to do with adventure or curiosity. Shut up and let's go, Maya replied, shouldering her own backpack. We need to reach Aquacord before the last train. As they prepared to leave, Professor Maple pulled Ben aside. Be careful. Your Omnitrix seems to have stabilized somewhat, but we don't fully understand how it interacts with Pokémon energy. And if this Obsidian is as dangerous as you say. I've dealt with worse, Ben assured her. And now I've got Pokémon partners to help. We'll be fine. I've registered you officially as a Pokémon trainer in the Kalos database, she added, handing him a plastic ID card. This will let you access Pokémon centers and compete in official battles if needed. Thanks, Professor, Ben said sincerely. For everything. With final goodbyes exchanged, Ben and Maya set off toward Aquacord Town, Froakie riding comfortably on Ben's shoulder. The afternoon sun cast long shadows as they followed the forest path. So, Ben said conversationally as they walked, what's your story? How'd you end up working with Professor Maple? Maya kept her eyes on the path. I was a league challenger 2 years ago. Made it to the semi-finals before losing. After that, I decided I wanted to understand Pokémon better, not just battle with them. Professor Maple was researching unusual energy patterns in Pokémon, which matched my interests. You were that good at 16? Ben asked, impressed. 15, Maya corrected. And yes. My family has a tradition of strong trainers. My mom was champion briefly before becoming a researcher herself. Ben nodded thoughtfully. We have that in common. Family legacy stuff, I mean. The Omnitrix was never meant for me, but somehow it became my responsibility. How did you get it? Maya asked, curiosity getting the better of her. It crashed near my campsite when I was 10, Ben explained. Thought it was a shooting star, went to check it out, and the thing jumped onto my wrist. Been saving the universe ever since. You've been doing this since you were 10? Maya sounded surprised. That's a lot of responsibility. Tell me about it, Ben agreed. But honestly, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Well, except maybe being stranded in another dimension. They walked in companionable silence for a while, until the path opened onto a road with signposts pointing toward Aquacord Town. We're making good time, Maya noted, checking her watch. The train leaves in 2 hours. As they followed the road, Ben noticed movement in his peripheral vision, something darting through the trees parallel to their path. We're being followed, he whispered to Maya. She nodded almost imperceptibly. I noticed. Could be wild Pokémon, or Team Eclipse. Freeze. A voice commanded as 3 figures in dark uniforms with purple trim jumped onto the road, blocking their path. Each wore an emblem resembling a solar eclipse. Hand over your Pokémon and that weird device on your wrist, kid, the lead figure demanded, pointing at Ben. Ben and Maya exchanged glances. Friends of yours? Ben asked sarcastically. Never seen them before, Maya replied, reaching for a Pokeball. But they picked the wrong trainers to mug. We're not muggers, the female member of the trio snapped. We're Team Eclipse, and we're reclaiming power for our leader. Ben's eyes narrowed. Your leader wouldn't happen to be new to town, would he? Guy calling himself Obsidian? The 3 exchanged surprised looks. How do you know that name? The leader demanded. Lucky guess, Ben replied, reaching for the Omnitrix. Maya, I'll handle this. No way, Maya countered, releasing a powerful-looking feline Pokémon. Luxray, stand by for battle. The Team Eclipse grunts released their own Pokémon, a purple scorpion, a floating purple ball with a face, and a black crow. Skorupi, poison sting. Coughing, sludge. Murkrow, peck. They commanded in unison. Ben slapped down the Omnitrix without scrolling through options. Let's see what this does. The transformation engulfed him, and Ben felt electricity coursing through his body as he shrank down to a small, rodent-like form with red cheeks and a lightning bolt tail. Pika, he exclaimed in surprise, then concentrated on the translation function. I'm a Pikachu. The Team Eclipse members stared in shock. Did that kid just worry about that later? The leader shouted. Get them both. Ben felt the electricity building naturally in his cheeks. Maya, look out. He called telepathically, leaping forward. Pure instinct guided him as he released a powerful thunderbolt attack that intercepted the incoming poison sting and sludge attacks. Maya and Luxray moved in perfect sync, the feline Pokémon firing off a swift attack that knocked Murkrow out of its diving peck. Whatever you are, you're coming with us, the female grunt shouted, throwing a Pokeball directly at Ben. I don't think so. Ben concentrated, generating an electrical field around his body that deflected the ball. I'm not a normal Pokémon you can capture. Taking advantage of their shock, Ben dashed forward with quick attack, slamming into Skorupi and sending it flying back into its trainer. Maya's Luxray, meanwhile, made short work of coughing with a well-placed crunch attack. This isn't working, the leader shouted to his companions. Fall back and report to the commander. The trio recalled their defeated Pokémon and threw smoke bombs, obscuring the area. By the time the smoke cleared, they had vanished into the forest. Ben reverted to human form as the Omnitrix timed out. Team Eclipse, huh? Definitely working with Obsidian. That transformation, Maya said, staring at him. You really turned into a Pikachu. Told you, Ben replied, checking the Omnitrix. At least now we know Obsidian's building an organization here. That can't be good. Maya recalled her Luxray. We need to get to Lumiose City fast. If he's recruiting locals into this Team Eclipse, he's planning something big. They resumed their journey at a quicker pace, reaching Aquicord Town just as the sun began to set. The small town centered around a plaza with cafes and shops, with the train station at its northern edge. We've got 30 minutes before the train, Maya noted. Let's heal our Pokémon at the center first. The Pokémon Center was a modern building with a distinctive red roof. Inside, a nurse with pink hair greeted them warmly. Welcome to the Pokémon Center. How may I help you? We need our Pokémon healed, please, Ben said, handing over his 3 Pokeballs while Maya did the same with hers. Of course. It will only take a moment, the nurse replied, placing the balls on a machine that glowed softly. A gentle chime indicated the process was complete. Your Pokémon are fully healed. We hope to see you again. As they collected their Pokémon, Ben whispered to Maya, is it just me, or is it weird that she hopes to see us again? That means our Pokémon would be hurt again. Maya laughed. It's just the standard greeting. Don't overthink it. They purchased tickets for the last train to Lumiose City and boarded with 10 minutes to spare. As the train pulled away from the station, Ben released Froke to sit with them in the nearly empty car. So what's Lumiose City like? Ben asked, watching the darkening landscape speed by outside the window. It's the largest city in Kalos, Maya explained. Built around Prism Tower, which also serves as the electric-type gym. It's a center for fashion, technology, and Pokémon research. Sounds like a place Obsidian would target, Ben mused. Lots of resources and technology to exploit. Maya nodded grimly. And lots of powerful Pokémon. The city's gym leader, Clement, is a technical genius. If Obsidian's looking for advanced tech, Clement's lab would be a prime target. The train sped through the night, carrying them toward Lumiose City and whatever scheme Obsidian was hatching. Ben gazed out the window, absently stroking Froke's head as he contemplated what lay ahead. I've been thinking, he said after a while. Those Team Eclipse goons recognized Obsidian's name but seemed surprised when I mentioned him. That means he's not openly leading them, he's probably manipulating things from the shadows. Smart observation, Maya admitted. You're not just a reckless hero, then. Ben grinned. I can be both. Years of experience taught me to pay attention to the details. Villains usually follow patterns. As the train announcement indicated they were approaching Lumiose City, both trainers prepared to disembark. The city lights came into view, a sprawling metropolis with a towering structure at its center glowing with electric blue light. Prism Tower, Maya identified, following Ben's gaze. The heart of Lumiose City. And maybe where we'll find Obsidian, Ben added, the Omnitrix glowing softly on his wrist as if in anticipation of the challenges ahead. The train pulled into Lumiose Station, its brakes hissing as it came to a complete stop. Ben and Maya stepped onto the platform, Froke perched vigilantly on Ben's shoulder. The station buzzed with activity despite the late hour, trainers and Pokémon coming and going from all directions. Where do we start? Ben asked, taking in the sheer scale of the city visible through the station's large glass facade. Maya pulled out her phone, checking a map. We should find a Pokémon Center to rest for the night. Tomorrow we can check out the areas matching those energy readings Professor Maple detected. As they exited the station, the full grandeur of Lumiose City hit Ben at once. Elegant buildings lined wide boulevards radiating from the central Prism Tower like spokes on a wheel. Street lights illuminated outdoor cafes where trainers sat with their Pokémon, discussing strategies or simply enjoying the evening. This place is amazing, Ben admitted, trying not to look too much like a tourist. It's the crown jewel of Kalos, Maya agreed, leading the way down a busy street. But don't get distracted. We're here too. A massive explosion suddenly rocked the area, coming from several blocks away. People and Pokémon scattered in panic as smoke billowed into the night sky. Find trouble, Maya finished grimly. Which apparently found us first. Let's go. Ben shouted, already running toward the commotion with Froakie holding tight to his shoulder. They sprinted down the boulevard, pushing against the crowd fleeing in the opposite direction. Police officers and their Growlithe partners were attempting to establish a perimeter as they approached. Stand back, an officer commanded. This area is dangerous. What happened? Maya asked, showing her research assistant ID from Professor Maple's lab. Break-in at Lysandra Labs, the officer explained quickly. Some new group calling themselves Team Eclipse. They've got hostages. Ben and Maya exchanged knowing looks. Told you, Ben muttered. We can help, Maya insisted to the officer. I'm an experienced trainer, and my friend here is. She glanced at Ben. Specialized in unusual Pokémon situations, Ben finished smoothly. Professor Maple sent us specifically because of the energy readings coming from this area. The officer hesitated, then nodded. We need all the help we can get. They've got some kind of technology disrupting our communications. If you can get inside and disable it, our backup can coordinate properly. We're on it, Ben assured him. Where's the entry point? Service entrance on the east side has the lightest guard presence, the officer indicated. But be careful, these aren't ordinary criminals. Their Pokémon are unusually aggressive. As the officer was called away, Ben turned to Maya. This has Obsidian written all over it. He must be enhancing the Pokémon somehow with his dimensional tech. So what's the plan? Maya asked. Ben considered their options. I'll transform and create a distraction at the main entrance. You slip in through the service door and find the hostages. Transform into what? Maya whispered, eyeing the Omnitrix. Ben scrolled through the silhouettes. Something big and attention-grabbing. He selected a massive form and slapped down the interface. The transformation was dramatic. Ben's body expanded enormously, growing orange scales and developing powerful limbs. Wings sprouted from his back, and his face elongated into a draconic snout. When the green light faded, a massive Charizard stood in Ben's place, the Omnitrix symbol prominently displayed on his chest. This works, Ben's telepathic voice rumbled with satisfaction. He exhaled, a jet of flame escaping his nostrils. Meet you inside. Before Maya could respond, Ben launched himself skyward with powerful wings, circling over Lysandra Labs, a modernistic building now partially damaged from the explosion. Team Eclipse members had established defensive positions around the entrance, their Pokémon forming a perimeter. Ben roared, drawing everyone's attention, then dive-bombed toward the main entrance, releasing a massive flamethrower attack that scattered the guards without actually harming them. Chaos erupted as the Eclipse members scrambled to respond to this unexpected aerial threat. A Charizard, one shouted. Where did that come from? Capture it for the commander, another ordered. It's perfect for the enhancement procedure. Several Pokémon launched attacks upward, but Ben was already familiar with aerial evasion from his experiences as Jetray and Big Chill. He dodged nimbly, continuing to create chaos while keeping an eye on Maya slipping toward the service entrance. From his aerial vantage point, Ben spotted movement on the roof, a figure in sleek armor observing the commotion with apparent calm. Even from a distance, Ben recognized the distinctive helmet design. Obsidian, he growled. The villain didn't appear surprised by the Charizard attack, which meant he was either expecting resistance or, more worryingly, recognized who Ben really was. Meanwhile, Maya had successfully reached the service entrance, her Lux Ray taking out the single guard with a silent thunder wave that paralyzed both the Eclipse member and his Golbat. She slipped inside, signaling to Ben with a quick flash of light from her phone. Ben continued his aerial assault, drawing more forces to the front of the building. When he was confident Maya had enough time to advance, he landed forcefully at the main entrance, smashing through the weakened doors with a powerful tail swipe. Inside, alarm systems blared as Ben reverted to human form, the Omnitrix timing out. Perfect timing as always, he muttered sarcastically, ducking behind a reception desk as Eclipse members rushed to investigate the crash. The Charizard broke in, one shouted. "Find it." Ben released Froakie and Vivillon from their Pokeballs. "Hey team, we need to cause some creative chaos. Think you can help me out?" Both Pokémon nodded enthusiastically. Vivillon flew up to scatter its scales across the room, creating a distracting, sparkling cloud, while Froakie used its frubbles to set slippery traps on the floor. Ben checked the Omnitrix, still recharging. "Gotta do this the old-fashioned way for a bit." As Team Eclipse members slipped and stumbled through Froakie's traps, Ben moved deeper into the facility, following the signs toward the main laboratory. If Obsidian was after technology, that's where he'd focus his attention. The sound of battle echoed from a corridor to his right. Maya had evidently encountered resistance. Ben was about to head that way when the Omnitrix beeped, signaling it was ready again. "Time for something sneakier," he muttered, selecting a small form and transforming. Ben felt himself shrink dramatically, his body turning purple and gaseous. When the transformation completed, he floated a few inches above the ground as a ghastly, able to pass through walls and remain nearly invisible in the shadows. "This is more like it," Ben's telepathic voice chuckled. He passed through the wall toward the sound of battle, finding Maya and her Pokémon surrounded by 4 Team Eclipse members. Without hesitation, Ben swooped down, passing through one opponent and using Lick Attack, paralyzing him instantly. The others reacted with shock as their comrade collapsed. "What was that?" one shouted, looking around frantically. "A ghost Pokémon," another realized. "Use Dark-type moves." Maya seized the opportunity of their confusion. Lux Ray, Wild Charge on the left. Sylveon, Moonblast on the right. Her Pokémon executed the commands perfectly, taking down 2 more opponents. The last Team Eclipse member backed away nervously. "You're working with the shapeshifter, aren't you?" he accused. "Commander Obsidian warned us about you." "So he knows I'm here," Ben's voice echoed as he materialized partially in front of the terrified grunt. "Good. Tell him Ben Tennyson is coming for him." The grunt turned and fled down the corridor. Ben reverted to human form as the Omnitrix timed out again. "Show off," Maya commented, though she was smiling. "I had that under control." "Sure you did," Ben replied, recalling his Pokémon to their balls. "Obsidian's definitely here, and he knows I followed him. That's why he staged this attack, he's trying to draw me out." "But why attack Lysandra Labs specifically?" Maya wondered. "Lysandra?" Ben mused. "Why does that name sound familiar?" "You mentioned it earlier." Lysandra was the leader of Team Flare, a criminal organization that nearly destroyed Kalos 3 years ago, Maya explained quickly. He wanted to use the legendary Pokémon Xerneas and Yveltal to power an ultimate weapon. And what happened to him? Disappeared when the weapon backfired. Presumed dead, but his company continued operating under new management, researching renewable energy and Pokémon enhancement technology. Ben's eyes widened. Enhancement technology? That's it. Obsidian must be after their research to amplify Pokémon powers, maybe to create a new power source for his dimensional tech. A distant explosion rocked the building, followed by emergency lights bathing the corridor in red. "The hostages must be in the security center," Maya said, checking the building directory on the wall. 2 floors up. "And the main lab?" Ben asked. "Sub-basement." Ben made a quick decision. "You free the hostages. I'll go after Obsidian in the lab. He's the priority. If he gets what he's after, we'll have bigger problems than this attack. Maya looked like she wanted to argue but nodded. Be careful. If he knows who you are, he'll be prepared for your transformations. I've got a few surprises left, Ben assured her, checking the Omnitrix. Meet me at the lab when you're done. They split up, Maya taking the emergency stairs upward while Ben found the service elevator to the basement. The Omnitrix was still recharging, so he released Froakie and Caterpie for backup. Ready for some real action, guys? He asked. Both Pokémon responded affirmatively, Froakie taking a battle stance while Caterpie looked nervous but determined. The elevator doors opened to a scene of controlled chaos. Team Eclipse members were systematically downloading data and packing equipment under the supervision of a familiar armored figure. Obsidian stood at the central console, his black armor absorbing the light around it. Unlike the theatrical villains Ben usually faced, Obsidian was calculating, methodical, a scientist first, conqueror second. You can come out now, Tennyson, Obsidian called without turning. Your Pokémon's breathing gives you away. Still haven't learned proper stealth, I see. Ben stepped from the elevator, Froakie and Caterpie flanking him. Still doing the creepy omniscient act, Obsidian. I thought we moved past that after I kicked your butt in Bellwood. Obsidian finally turned, his featureless helmet regarding Ben impassively. Technically, our battle was interrupted by the dimensional displacement. A situation you seem to have adapted to rather efficiently. He gestured to Froakie. Collecting native species already? What can I say? I make friends fast, Ben replied, edging further into the room. What exactly are you planning to steal? Kalos doesn't have anything you couldn't get back home. On the contrary, Obsidian responded, holding up a data drive. Lyssandra's research on mega evolution and bond phenomena is precisely what I need. The energy produced when Pokémon transcend their normal limitations is remarkably similar to the dimensional energy that powers my technology. Ben's eyes narrowed. So you can get us home? Then let's go, leave these people out of it. Obsidian laughed coldly. Go home. Why would I want to return to a universe with such limited potential? This world has creatures that naturally manipulate fundamental forces, fire, electricity, even space and time itself. With Lyssandra's enhancement research, I can harness these powers on an industrial scale. Should have known you'd try to take over this world too, Ben said, the Omnitrix finally beeping to indicate readiness. Not happening on my watch. Literally. Obsidian signaled to his subordinates, who released various Pokémon, all wearing strange collars that pulsed with purple energy. Your watch is precisely what I'm counting on, Ben. The Omnitrix's adaptive capabilities are the missing piece in my research. Once I analyze how it interfaces with Pokémon DNA, I can perfect my enhancement technology. You'll have to catch me first, Ben replied, activating the Omnitrix. He selected a form and transformed in a flash of green light. Ben's body grew taller, leaner, and blue. His limbs extended, webbed hands and feet developing as a frog-like hood formed around his head. When the transformation completed, Ben stood as a Greninja, the evolved form of Froakie. Froakie stared in amazement at his transformed trainer, clearly recognizing the evolutionary connection. Ben formed a water shuriken between his palms, his telepathic voice echoing confidently, "Let's see how your enhanced Pokémon handle this." Fascinating, Obsidian remarked, seemingly genuinely impressed. The Omnitrix has adapted perfectly to this dimension's lifeforms. Attack pattern Epsilon. The enhanced Pokémon moved with unnatural synchronization, launching coordinated attacks from all directions. Ben leaped into the air with Greninja's incredible agility, flinging water shuriken that intercepted several incoming attacks. Froakie joined the battle, using its smaller size to dart between opponents while Caterpie supported from a distance with string shot, entangling enemies and limiting their movement. Ben landed beside a large machine, immediately recognizing it as Obsidian's dimensional stabilizer, the device that allowed controlled jumps between universes. It was hooked into Lyssandra's equipment, apparently drawing power from it. The stabilizer. Ben called to his Pokémon. We need to destroy it before it's fully charged. Obsidian moved with surprising speed, interposing himself between Ben and the machine. I don't think so. Your Omnitrix energy signature is already being scanned. Soon I'll have everything I need. Ben felt an uncomfortable tingling as the machine pulsed, somehow interfacing with the Omnitrix through Obsidian's technology. Whatever you're doing, stop it now. The process has already begun, Obsidian replied calmly. My enhanced Houndoom, eliminate his Pokémon while I handle Tennyson. A massive black canine with glowing purple eyes leaped forward, flames pouring from its mouth as it targeted Froakie and Caterpie. Ben wanted to help them but found himself locked in combat with Obsidian, who had activated energy blades extending from his gauntlets. Your Pokémon can't defeat my enhanced specimens, Obsidian said confidently, slashing at Ben. The collars amplify their power while suppressing their free will. Perfect soldiers. Ben dodged the strikes, countering with his own water blades. Pokémon aren't meant to be soldiers. They're partners, friends. Such sentimentality, Obsidian scoffed. That's always been your weakness, Tennyson. Meanwhile, Froakie was desperately dodging Houndoom's flamethrower attacks, while Caterpie had taken refuge behind a console. The situation looked grim until suddenly a bolt of electricity struck Houndoom from behind, temporarily disabling its enhancement collar. Need some backup? Maya called, entering with her Lux Ray and a newly evolved Fletchinder. The hostages are safe. Perfect timing. Ben called back, using the distraction to land a solid kick on Obsidian, sending him crashing into a bank of computers. Maya quickly assessed the situation. Those collars are controlling the Pokémon. Lux Ray, use Thunder Wave to short-circuit them. Her Electric Lion Pokémon complied, sending carefully modulated electrical pulses that disrupted the collars one by one. As each collar deactivated, the Pokémon looked confused, then increasingly distressed by what they'd been forced to do. No! Obsidian shouted, scrambling to salvage his plan. He pressed a button on his gauntlet, and the dimensional stabilizer began humming ominously. If I can't have this world's power, no one will. This facility will be torn apart by a dimensional rift. Ben knew he had seconds to act. He turned to Maya, get everyone out. I'll handle the stabilizer. Maya hesitated only briefly before nodding, leading the now freed Pokémon and the few Team Eclipse members who hadn't already fled toward the exit. Froakie refused to leave, hopping to Ben's side determinedly. Loyal little guy, aren't you? Ben said appreciatively. Okay, together then. Obsidian had reached the stabilizer, inputting final commands. Too late, Tennyson. The chain reaction has begun. This entire facility will be pulled between dimensions, just like you were. The machine's hum increased to a painful whine as energy crackled around it. Ben could feel reality itself beginning to warp, just like when he'd first arrived in this world. Not if I can help it, Ben declared, focusing on his Greninja form's abilities. He began forming a massive water shuriken between his hands, pouring all his energy into it. The shuriken grew larger, then began to glow with a mysterious blue energy that neither Ben nor Froakie fully understood. Froakie, hit it with your strongest water pulse. Ben commanded. As Froakie launched its attack, Ben hurled the glowing shuriken. The two water attacks merged mid-air, creating a spiral of energy that struck the stabilizer with incredible force. The machine sparked violently, its casing cracking to reveal the core. Obsidian lunged to protect it, but was thrown back by the energy discharge. No. Do you realize what you've done? Obsidian shouted as the stabilizer began to implode. Saved everyone from your crazy plan? Ben suggested, grabbing Froakie and diving behind a reinforced console. The stabilizer collapsed in on itself with a thunderous implosion, creating a brief, contained dimensional rift that sucked in only the machine itself before winking out of existence. The sudden silence was almost as shocking as the noise had been. Ben stood cautiously, the Omnitrix timing out and returning him to human form. Obsidian lay against the far wall, his armor damaged and smoking. "It's over, Obsidian," Ben said, approaching warily. "Your dimensional tech is gone. You're stuck here just like me." Obsidian laughed weakly. "You think that was my only stabilizer? How naive." With surprising speed, he pressed another button on his gauntlet. A small portal opened behind him, just large enough for one person. This emergency escape has only enough charge for a single jump. Enjoy this Pokémon world, Tennyson. I'll be back with a better plan. Before Ben could reach him, Obsidian slipped through the portal, which snapped shut immediately after. "Coward," Ben muttered, then turned to check on Froakie. "You okay, buddy?" Froakie nodded, looking tired but proud. The small Pokémon hopped up to Ben's shoulder just as Maya returned with local authorities. "Obsidian got away," Ben explained grimly. "Through a mini portal. But we destroyed his main equipment and saved the lab." Officer Jenny stepped forward. "We owe you both our thanks. The hostages are all safe, and most of Team Eclipse has been apprehended. But their leader escaped," Maya pointed out. "And he'll be back. Next time, we'll be ready for him," Ben said with determination, checking on his other Pokémon who had performed admirably in their first real battle. As they exited the damaged facility, dawn was breaking over Lumiose City. Emergency vehicles surrounded the building, and news crews were already setting up to report on the incident. "Let's get out of here before we become the story," Maya suggested, leading Ben away from the cameras. They made their way to a small cafe several blocks away, collapsing into chairs on the patio. Their Pokémon, freshly healed at a nearby Pokémon Center, relaxed around them. "So what now?" Maya asked after they'd ordered breakfast. "Obsidian's gone, but not defeated. And you're still stuck here." Ben looked thoughtfully at the Omnitrix, then at Froakie who was contentedly munching on Pokémon food beside him. "Now we train, get stronger, and prepare. Obsidian will be gathering more resources, possibly targeting other regions. We need to do the same." "We?" Maya raised an eyebrow. "Well, yeah," Ben smiled. "Unless you've got better things to do than help save 2 dimensions." Maya tried to maintain her serious expression but failed. "I suppose someone has to keep you from getting lost. You still don't know a caterpie from a Weedle." "Hey, I'm learning fast," Ben protested good-naturedly. As the sun rose fully over Lumiose City, Ben found himself strangely at peace despite the danger that still loomed. He had new friends, new powers to master, and a familiar purpose, being a hero, no matter what dimension he found himself in. Froakie hopped back onto his shoulder, gazing at the prism tower gleaming in the morning light. "What do you say, buddy? Ready for a new adventure?" Froakie, his partner replied enthusiastically. Ben grinned. "That's what I thought. Team Tennyson is just getting started." Chapter 2, Double Battles. 3 weeks after the incident at Lysandra Labs, Ben dove to the ground as a hyper beam tore through the air where he'd been standing seconds before. "That was way too close. Froakie, water pulse!" Ben shouted, scrambling back to his feet. Froakie, now noticeably stronger and more confident, leaped high and launched a compressed sphere of water at the massive explode that had nearly taken Ben's head off. The attack struck dead center, making the sound-based Pokémon stumble backward. "Don't let up. Riolu, force palm while it's disoriented," Ben commanded. The fighting-type Pokémon that had joined Ben's team 2 weeks earlier darted forward with impressive speed, slamming a glowing paw into Exploud's chest. Energy pulsed from the contact point, sending the larger Pokémon crashing into a boulder. Exploud is unable to battle. "The match goes to Ben Tennyson," called the referee, a local trainer from Shallor City where Ben and Maya had set up temporary base while tracking Team Eclipse activity. "We did it." Ben whooped, high-fiving his Pokémon as they ran to him. Riolu jumped into his arms while Froakie claimed his usual perch on Ben's shoulder. "You guys were amazing." The gym leader Grant approached, recalling his fallen Pokémon. "Impressive improvement since our official match last week. Your teamwork is becoming seamless." Ben grinned, scratching Riolu behind the ears. "We've been training hard. Those rock climbing exercises you suggested really boosted Riolu's speed. And your battle instincts are sharper," Grant noted. "Less hesitation between commands. Having my butt kicked by Maya a dozen times has been educational," Ben admitted with a wry smile. Grant laughed, clapping Ben on the shoulder. "A good rival pushes you to excel. Speaking of which," he checked his watch, "aren't you two supposed to leave for Shallor City within the hour? The tournament registration closes at sunset." "Crud, you're right." Ben gasped, suddenly remembering. He quickly recalled Riolu to its ball, while Froakie remained on his shoulder. "Maya's gonna kill me if I make us miss the registration." He sprinted from Grant's training area toward the Pokémon Center where Maya was waiting. The coastal city of Sillage gleamed in the afternoon sun, its white buildings and blue rooftops complementing the ocean beyond. In the 3 weeks since Lumiose, Ben had grown to appreciate this world's natural beauty even as he and Maya tracked Team Eclipse's movements. Ben burst into the Pokémon Center, slightly out of breath. "Sorry I'm late." Grant wanted a rematch and, save it, Maya cut him off, though her annoyed expression couldn't quite hide her amusement. "Did you at least win this time?" "Of course," Ben replied, puffing out his chest slightly. Riolu and Froakie crushed it. Maya nodded approvingly. "Good. I'd hate to think all those hours I spent coaching you were wasted." She hefted her backpack. "The bikes are ready outside. If we push it, we can make Shallor before sunset." As they exited the center, Ben spotted the rental bikes Maya had arranged, sturdy mountain bikes perfect for the coastal route to Shallor City. His Pokédex now showed 5 registered Pokémon: Froakie, Vivillon, Caterpie, now evolved into Metapod, Riolu, and a fletchling he'd caught just days earlier. "So remind me again why this tournament is so important?" Ben asked as they pedaled out of the city, Froakie tucked securely in a basket attached to his handlebars. Maya sighed. "Because Professor Maple tracked energy readings matching Obsidian's tech around Shallor City, and the tournament gives us perfect cover to investigate without alerting Team Eclipse. Plus, the Tower of Mastery is there." "Right, the place with all the Mega Evolution stuff," Ben nodded, recalling their conversations about Kalo's legends. "You think that's what Obsidian is after now?" "It fits his pattern," Maya replied, expertly navigating a tricky section of the coastal path. Lysandra Labs for Pokémon Enhancement Tech, now the Tower of Mastery for Mega Evolution Secrets. He's collecting power amplification methods. Ben frowned, remembering how dangerous Obsidian's enhanced Pokémon had been. "At least this time we know what to expect." The coastal route to Shallor was breathtaking, crystal waters to their right, rolling hills to their left, and the path itself occasionally cutting through dramatic rock formations. Wild Pokémon watched curiously as they passed, and several trainers challenged them to quick battles that they politely declined due to time constraints. "There it is," Maya announced several hours later as they crested a final hill. Shallor City. Ben whistled appreciatively at the view. Shallor City was built in a natural harbor, with ancient buildings surrounding a massive tower situated on a tidal island. The Tower of Mastery stood proud and mysterious, connected to the mainland by a causeway that disappeared at high tide. The tournament's being held in the battle arena at the city center, Maya explained as they coasted down toward the city. Registration closes in 20 minutes. They pedaled furiously through the city streets, arriving at the impressive battle arena with just 5 minutes to spare. The registration desk was already packing up when they skidded to a stop. "Wait. We're here to register." Ben called out, rushing forward with Maya. The tournament official looked at them skeptically. "Cutting it awfully close." Names? Ben Tennyson and Maya Winters, Maya replied promptly. The official checked her tablet. Ah, you're on the priority registration list, Professor Maple called ahead. She handed them each a tournament pass. You're the final team to register. The opening ceremony starts in 1 hour, and your first match is tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Team? Ben questioned, looking at Maya. I thought this was a single battle tournament. Maya winced slightly. Surprise? It's a doubles tournament. Teams of 2 trainers working together. And you didn't mention this because you might have overthought it, Maya admitted. You've been doing great in single battles, but doubles require a different strategy. I figured we'd cross that bridge when we got here. Well, we're definitely at the bridge now, Ben muttered, though he wasn't really angry. Working with a partner wasn't new to him, he'd fought alongside Gwen and Kevin for years. So how does this work? As they walked toward their assigned lodgings in the tournament village, Maya explained the format. Each trainer uses 1 Pokémon, battling side by side. The key is coordination, moves that complement each other, covering your partner's weaknesses, and sometimes combining attacks for greater effect. So it's all about teamwork, Ben nodded, understanding the concept. That shouldn't be too hard. We've worked together before. Maya gave him a sidelong glance. It's also about trust, Ben. No secrets between partners. Ben tensed slightly. Despite weeks of traveling together, he'd kept his transformation ability relatively hidden from Maya, using it only when absolutely necessary and usually out of her sight. The incident at Lysandra Labs could have exposed him, but in the chaos, she hadn't connected all the dots about his abilities. Right. No secrets, he agreed uneasily. They reached the tournament village, a collection of cabins surrounding a central plaza where trainers gathered to socialize, trade tips, and size up the competition. Their assigned cabin was small but comfortable, with bunk beds and a small kitchenette. I'll take the top bunk, Ben called dibs immediately, tossing his backpack up there. Maya rolled her eyes. Some things never change. After settling in, they headed to the opening ceremony. The arena was packed with spectators and participants, a festive atmosphere prevailing as local dignitaries welcomed everyone to Shallor City. The tournament organizer, a tall woman with striking purple hair, took the microphone. Welcome to the 15th annual Shallor City Tag Team Tournament. This year, we have a special guest, the gym leader of Shallor City and master of Mega Evolution, Corona. A young woman with blonde hair and roller skates zoomed onto the stage, accompanied by a powerful-looking Lucario. Thanks, everyone. Corona called enthusiastically. This year's tournament is extra special because the winning team will receive these. She held up 2 glittering stones, authentic Mega Stones compatible with Lucario and Absol. The crowd erupted in cheers. Maya grabbed Ben's arm excitedly. Mega Stones. Do you realize how rare those are? This tournament just got a lot more interesting. And probably more dangerous, Ben added quietly. If Mega Evolution is as powerful as you've told me, Obsidian might make his move during the tournament. They scanned the crowd, looking for suspicious figures, but nothing stood out among the hundreds of trainers and spectators. The ceremony concluded with a display of fireworks and Pokémon performances. As they headed back to their cabin, Ben noticed a group of trainers gathered around a battle demonstration in the plaza. Check it out, he nudged Maya, pointing to where a trainer and his Lucario were showing off impressive combat moves. That's Damien, Maya identified. Regional champion from 2 years ago. They say he's competing to win the Lucarionite for his partner. Ben studied the trainer's technique. Damien moved in perfect sync with his Lucario, almost as if they shared a mental link. They're good, he admitted. They'll be tough to beat, Maya agreed. But we have our own advantages. Like what? You haven't even seen my double strategy, Ben pointed out. Maya smiled cryptically. Let's just say I have faith in your adaptability. The next morning dawned clear and bright. Tournament matches were scheduled throughout the day, with Ben and Maya's first battle at 9 a.m. sharp. They arrived at their assigned battlefield 30 minutes early to prepare. "Okay, so who are you using for our first match?" Ben asked as they waited in the preparation room. "Fletchinder," Maya replied confidently. "He evolved during training last week, and his aerial support will complement a ground-based attacker." "What about you?" Ben considered his options. "Riolu. He's my strongest right now, and having a fighting type gives us coverage against normal, rock, steel, and dark opponents." "Solid choice," Maya nodded approvingly. "We'll need to watch for flying or psychic types that could trouble Riolu, but Fletchinder can handle those." Their opponents entered the preparation room, two young trainers who introduced themselves as twins from Shallor City. They seemed friendly but determined. "Let's have a great battle," the girl twin chirped as they headed toward the battlefield. The arena roared with excitement as all four trainers took their positions. The referee stepped forward to announce the rules. "This will be a 2-on-2 double battle. Each trainer may use one Pokémon. The battle is over when both Pokémon on either side are unable to continue. Go, Fletchinder." Maya called, releasing her newly evolved bird Pokémon. "Riolu, let's do this." Ben followed, his fighting type materializing in a battle stance. The twins released their Pokémon simultaneously, Plusle. Minun. The electric rodent pair appeared with coordinated somersaults, already displaying their practice teamwork. "Begin," the referee shouted. Plusle, helping hand. Minun, thunderbolt on Riolu. The twins commanded in perfect sync. Plusle glowed with energy that transferred to Minun, powering up its electrical attack as it launched toward Riolu. "Riolu, dodge and use quick attack on Plusle." Ben called. "Fletchinder, intercept with steel wing." Maya countered, surprising Ben. Before he could question her strategy, Fletchinder's wings glowed metallic as it dove between Riolu and the incoming thunderbolt. The electric attack struck Fletchinder but dispersed harmlessly across its steel-coated wings. "Flying is weak to electric, but steel resists it," Maya explained quickly. "Now follow up." Ben nodded, immediately adapting. "Riolu, change targets. Quick attack on Minun while it's recharging." Riolu blurred forward, striking Minun before it could prepare another attack. Meanwhile, Fletchinder swooped down on Plusle with its steel wing still active. The twins looked momentarily flustered by the coordinated counter but recovered quickly. Plusle, nuzzle on Riolu. Minun, encore on Fletchinder. Don't let them connect. Riolu, force palm the ground. Ben commanded. Riolu slammed its paw into the battlefield, sending a shockwave that disrupted both opponents' attacks and kicked up a cloud of dust. Fletchinder, flame charged through the dust cloud. Maya called. Her bird Pokémon cloaked itself in flames and shot through the obscured field, striking both Plusle and Minun before they could reorient themselves. "Now's our chance." Ben called to Maya. Combined attack. They'd practiced this move during their journey to Shallor, though never in an official battle. Maya nodded confidently. Fletchinder, tailwind followed by heat wave. Riolu, ride the wind and use vacuum wave. Fletchinder beat its wings powerfully, creating a directed gust that Riolu leaped into. The fighting type spun in midair, generating a spiraling fighting type energy that mixed with Fletchinder's heat blast. The combined attack struck both Plusle and Minun with devastating effect, sending them tumbling across the battlefield. When the dust settled, both electric types lay unconscious. Plusle and Minun are unable to battle. The victory goes to Ben and Maya, the referee announced. The crowd erupted in cheers. Ben and Maya high-fived triumphantly as their Pokémon returned to them. "That was awesome!" Ben exclaimed. The way Fletchinder blocked that thunderbolt, and how Riolu created that dust cover with force palm, Maya finished, genuinely impressed. You're a natural at doubles. Their celebration was cut short by a tournament official approaching with a schedule update. Congratulations on your victory. Your next match has been moved up due to a withdrawal. You'll be battling on Field C in 1 hour. So soon? Maya frowned. That doesn't give us much recovery time. Rules are rules, the official shrugged before walking away. Ben gently patted Riolu's head. You up for another round so soon, buddy? Riolu pumped its fist confidently, though Ben could tell it was more tired than it let on. Maybe we should switch out our Pokémon for the next match, Maya suggested. Give these two a proper rest. Ben agreed, and they spent the hour strategizing while treating their Pokémon at the tournament's healing station. Their next opponents were more experienced, a veteran trainer from Johto and his younger protege. For this match, Maya selected her Luxray while Ben chose Vivillon, creating an unusual but potentially effective pairing. The strategy worked better than expected. Vivillon's status moves and powder attacks created openings for Luxray's devastating electrical strikes. They won decisively, advancing to the quarterfinals scheduled for the following morning. As evening fell over Shallor City, trainers gathered in the tournament village to celebrate or console each other. Ben and Maya sat at a small cafe, reviewing battle footage on Maya's tablet while their Pokémon enjoyed a well-earned meal. We make a pretty good team, Ben remarked, replaying their combination attack from the first match. We do, Maya agreed, her expression growing serious. Which is why I think it's time you were completely honest with me, Ben. Ben tensed. What do you mean? You know exactly what I mean, Maya said quietly, turning the tablet to show security footage from Lysandra Labs, footage showing a Charizard with the Omnitrix symbol clearly visible on its chest. I downloaded this while we were escaping. I've suspected since then, but I wanted to give you the chance to tell me yourself. Ben's heart sank. Maya, you can turn into Pokémon. Not just communicate with them as Riolu, but actually become them, she continued. That's what the watch does. That's why you sometimes disappear during crucial moments, only for some powerful Pokémon to show up and save the day. Ben sighed, looking around to ensure no one was eavesdropping. Yes. The Omnitrix adapts to whatever DNA is dominant in the universe I'm in. Here, that's Pokémon. Why keep it secret from me? Maya asked, hurt evident in her voice. I thought we were partners. I've been helping you navigate this world, training you, and you couldn't trust me with this. It's not about trust, Ben insisted. It's habit. Where I come from, keeping the Omnitrix secret is second nature. Only my closest family and friends know the truth. And I'm not in that category, Maya concluded, closing the tablet and standing up. Good to know where we stand. Maya, wait, Ben reached for her arm, but she pulled away. We have quarterfinals tomorrow. Get some rest. With that, she walked away, leaving Ben alone with his conflicted thoughts and concerned Pokémon. Froakie hopped onto the table, looking questioningly at Ben. I messed up, buddy, Ben admitted, absently stroking Froakie's head. Should have been honest from the beginning. As night fell, Ben returned to their cabin to find Maya's bunk empty, her training gear missing. A note on the table simply read, practicing at the beach. Don't wait up. Ben flopped onto his bunk, staring at the ceiling while Froakie settled beside him. The Omnitrix seemed to pulse gently on his wrist, as if sensing his unease. It's not like I was trying to deceive her, Ben told Froakie. It's just, complicated. Everyone who knows about the Omnitrix eventually becomes a target. Froakie made a sympathetic noise, but Ben could sense his partner didn't entirely agree with his reasoning. You think I should have told her too, huh? Ben sighed. Maybe you're right. Before he could ponder further, his Pokédex chimed with an alert, a message from Professor Maple. Ben quickly opened it, finding a video communication request which he accepted immediately. Professor Maple's concerned face appeared on screen. Ben. Finally. I've been trying to reach you and Maya for hours. What's wrong, Professor? I've detected massive energy spikes near Shallor City, the same signature as Obsidian's technology but amplified. Whatever he's planning, it's happening soon. Ben sat up straight. We suspected as much. The tournament here is offering rare mega stones as prizes, could that be related? Possibly, but I think it's the Tower of Mastery itself he's after. The tournament might just be a distraction, Professor Maple replied, her image occasionally breaking up with static. The tower contains centuries of research on the energy bonds between trainers and Pokémon during Mega Evolution. In the wrong hands, the transmission suddenly cut out completely. Ben tried to reconnect without success. That can't be good, he muttered, grabbing his jacket. Come on, Froakie. We need to find Maya. Ben rushed from the cabin toward the beach, only to be intercepted by tournament security. Curfew is in effect, young man, the guard stated firmly. All competitors must remain in the tournament village until morning. But this is an emergency. I need to find my partner. She'll have to return for curfew as well, the guard insisted. Rules are rules. Ben reluctantly returned to the cabin, sending multiple messages to Maya's Pokédex that went unanswered. His concern grew with each passing hour until, finally, he heard the cabin door open around midnight. Maya! Ben exclaimed, jumping down from his bunk. Where have you been? Professor Maple contacted me. I know, Maya cut him off, her expression grim. She reached me at the beach before communications went down. Something's blocking all signals in and out of Shallor City now. Team Eclipse, Ben guessed. They're making their move. Maya nodded, her earlier anger apparently set aside in the face of the threat. I did some reconnaissance. There's unusual activity around the Tower of Mastery, guards preventing anyone from approaching, claiming structural assessments are underway. At midnight? That's definitely suspicious, Ben agreed. Did you see the cause of the communication blackout? There's a device on top of the tournament headquarters, Maya reported. Too well guarded for me to approach alone. Ben paced the small cabin. We need to split up. One of us investigates the tower while the other takes out the communication jammer. The tower is only accessible at low tide, which happens at 3 a.m. tonight, Maya noted, checking her waterproof watch. That gives us less than 3 hours to prepare. Despite their earlier disagreement, the two fell naturally into planning mode. Maya laid out a map of Shallor City on the table, marking security checkpoints she'd observed and potential routes of approach. The tournament headquarters is here, she indicated. At least 6 guards with enhanced Pokémon patrolling the roof where the jammer is located. And the tower? Ben asked. Worse. A full Team Eclipse contingent has set up around the causeway. They're disguised as tournament security, but I recognized one of the commanders from Lysandra Labs. Ben studied the map. The tower is priority. Whatever Obsidian wants there, we can't let him get it. I'll handle that while you take out the jammer. Maya raised an eyebrow. You sure about that division of labor? The tower will be heavily guarded. I've got my ways of getting past guards, Ben replied meaningfully, tapping the Omnitrix. Maya's expression softened slightly. Right. Your ability. She hesitated, then added, I should have given you the chance to explain earlier. I was just surprised and hurt that you didn't trust me. And I should have been honest from the beginning, Ben admitted. After everything you've done to help me, you deserve to know. I'm sorry. Their eyes met, mutual understanding passing between them. Maya offered a small smile. Partners? Partners, Ben confirmed, relieved. And after this is over, I'll tell you everything about the Omnitrix and where I come from. No more secrets. With their reconciliation established, they finalized the plan. They would move out separately at 2:30 a.m., giving them time to get into position before low tide. Maya would target the communication jammer while Ben infiltrated the tower to discover Obsidian's objective. Take these, Maya said, handing Ben a set of small devices. Signal flares. If you get into trouble, launch one. I'll do the same. Ben accepted them gratefully. Be careful. Team Eclipse's Pokémon are no joke, especially the enhanced ones. You too, Maya replied. And Ben? Whatever Pokémon you turn into, make it count. At precisely 2:30 a.m., they slipped out of their cabin through the window, avoiding the patrols. They separated at the edge of the tournament village, Maya heading toward the main administrative building while Ben made his way toward the shoreline. The night was clear but moonless, providing good cover as Ben approached the causeway to the Tower of Mastery. As Maya had reported, Team Eclipse members in disguise guarded the approach, checking identification of anyone attempting to cross, which, at this hour, was no one. Ben crouched behind a boathouse, assessing the situation. 6 guards at the causeway entrance, more visible on the tower island itself. Too many to fight through without alerting the entire operation. Time to get creative, Ben whispered to Froakie, who had insisted on accompanying him. He activated the Omnitrix, scrolling through available forms. Need something that can move through water silently. He selected an aquatic-looking silhouette and transformed. Ben's body elongated and became serpentine, his skin turning blue with yellow markings. When the transformation completed, he had become a Dragonair, a graceful dragon Pokémon capable of swift underwater movement. Perfect, Ben's telepathic voice commented. Froakie, can you hold on to me while I swim us around the guards? Froakie nodded, climbing onto Ben's serpentine body and gripping tightly. Ben slipped into the water with barely a ripple, his new form moving with incredible grace beneath the surface. They circled wide around the causeway, approaching the tower island from the opposite, unguarded side. Upon reaching the rocky shore, Ben reverted to human form behind a large boulder. That worked perfectly, he whispered to Froakie. Now we need to get inside. The Tower of Mastery loomed above them, ancient stone walls stretching skyward. Light glowed from several windows, confirming activity inside despite the late hour. A service door on their side of the tower stood slightly ajar, either carelessness or luck working in their favor. Ben and Froakie slipped inside, finding themselves in a narrow stone stairwell. Voices echoed from above, Team Eclipse members coordinating their operation. Generator at full capacity, one voice reported. The Mega Evolution energy readings are off the charts. The boss wants extraction to begin within the hour, another replied. Before the tournament authorities realize what's happening. Ben crept up the stairs, Froakie moving silently ahead as scout. The first floor appeared to be a museum dedicated to the history of Mega Evolution, with display cases and informational plaques now ignored by the Team Eclipse operatives bustling about with technical equipment. In the center of the room stood a machine Ben recognized immediately, a refined version of the device Obsidian had used at Lysandra Labs. This one pulsed with multicolored energy as it apparently drained something from the very stones of the tower itself. They're extracting the residual energy from past Mega Evolutions, Ben realized, recalling what Maya had told him about the tower being the historical site of the first documented Mega Evolutions in Kalos. Centuries of power absorbed into the very structure. A familiar voice made Ben freeze. Progress report, Obsidian demanded, stepping into view from an adjacent room. The villain had upgraded his armor since Lumiose City, now incorporating elements that Ben recognized as inspired by Pokémon designs. The helmet resembled a Bisharp, while the gauntlets showed influence from Sizer's pincers. 70% capacity, sir, a technician reported. Energy signatures are stable and conversion is proceeding as planned. Excellent, Obsidian nodded. And the secondary team at the tournament headquarters? Communication blackout is holding. No one outside Shallor City knows what's happening. Obsidian seemed pleased. By morning, we'll have enough Mega Evolution energy harvested to power the enhancement program indefinitely. The data from Lysandra Labs combined with this power source will allow us to create Pokémon beyond anything this world has seen. And the keystone artifacts, sir. We've located the vault on the 3rd floor. Secure them, Obsidian ordered. Those stones are critical for the final phase of the plan. Ben had heard enough. He needed to disable the extraction machine and alert Maya to the vault situation. As he began to retreat toward the stairwell, Frocus suddenly tensed, sensing something behind them. Well, came a voice that made Ben's blood run cold. Looks like we have an eavesdropper. Ben turned to find himself face to face with a woman in Team Eclipse commander uniform, the same one who had escaped during the Lysandra Labs incident. Before Ben could react, she released a Pokémon he hadn't seen before, a hovering, metallic creature with multiple eyes. Magnezone, Thunder Wave, she commanded calmly. Electricity arced from the Steel-type Pokémon, paralyzing Ben before he could reach for the Omnitrix. Froakie leaped to defend him but was quickly subdued by the commander's second Pokémon, a muscular humanoid with 4 arms. Macamp, restrain them both, she ordered. And bring them to Obsidian. He'll be very interested in our catch. Despite his paralysis, Ben struggled as Macamp lifted him effortlessly. You won't get away with this, he managed through gritted teeth. The commander laughed. Such a cliché line. We're already getting away with it, child. By sunrise, Team Eclipse will have harnessed the ultimate power source for our enhanced Pokémon army. Macamp carried Ben into the central chamber where Obsidian was overseeing the extraction process. Froakie, held firmly in another of Machamp's hands, struggled futilely against the powerful Pokémon's grip. Obsidian turned slowly, his expressionless helmet revealing nothing of his reaction. Ben Tennyson. Right on schedule. You knew I'd come? Ben asked, the paralysis beginning to wear off slightly. I counted on it, Obsidian replied. Your heroic predictability is a valuable constant across dimensions. He approached Ben, examining the Omnitrix with scientific interest. My scans at Lysandra Labs were incomplete. Tonight, I'll rectify that oversight. The communications jammer, Ben realized. It wasn't just to prevent outside interference, it was to lure us in. Half correct, Obsidian admitted. The jammer serves both purposes. Your partner is likely walking into a trap as we speak. Ben's heart sank. He'd led Maya straight into danger. What do you want with the Mega Evolution energy? Isn't it obvious? Mega Evolution temporarily breaks the limitations of Pokémon, releasing their true potential. My enhancement technology does something similar, but with significant limitations in duration and stability. Obsidian gestured to the extraction device. This energy will solve those problems, allowing permanent enhancement. You'll hurt countless Pokémon in the process, Ben argued, still stalling for time as he worked against the lingering paralysis. A necessary sacrifice for progress, Obsidian dismissed. The enhancement process will be refined eventually. For now, the power is what matters. The commander approached with a scanner. Shall I begin analyzing the Omnitrix, sir? Proceed, Obsidian nodded. Be careful not to trigger its transformation mechanism. As the commander brought the scanner toward Ben's wrist, Frocus suddenly spat a burst of frubbles into Machamp's face. The fighting Pokémon reflexively released its grip, allowing Froakie to break free and launch a point-blank water pulse at the commander. The distraction gave Ben the moment he needed. With his right arm now free, he slapped down on the Omnitrix. Green light enveloped him as he transformed into a new form, his body becoming covered in metallic blue armor, magnets extending from his head and arms. Magneton. Ben's electronic voice buzzed as he hovered free of Machamp's grip. Immediately, he released a powerful discharge attack that filled the room with electricity, shorting out nearby equipment and driving back Team Eclipse members. Stop him. Obsidian ordered, his armor seemingly unaffected by the electrical assault. Ben focused his magnetic powers, targeting the extraction machine at the center of the room. Metal components began to warp and tear as he applied intense magnetic force. The extraction process is destabilizing, a technician shouted in panic. Energy containment failing. Obsidian moved with surprising speed, activating a shield generator that created a barrier between Ben and the machine. Your magneton form is powerful but predictable, Tennyson. I've studied all common Pokémon and their capabilities. Ben needed to change tactics. He reverted to human form, immediately rolling away from Machamp's grasp and releasing his other Pokémon. Everyone, battle positions. Riolu, Vivillon, Metapod, and Fletchling emerged, joining Froakie in a protective formation around Ben. Though outnumbered, his team stood ready to fight. Touching loyalty, Obsidian commented. But futile. He raised his arm, activating a communication device. Commander Reed, what's the status of our tournament operation? Target acquired, sir, came the reply. The girl attempted to disable the jammer as predicted. She's being brought to your location now. Ben's expression hardened. If you hurt her, save your threats, Obsidian cut him off. Unlike the villains in your dimension, I don't monologue until defeat. Commander, secure him while I check the extraction progress. As Obsidian turned away, the female commander approached with 6 Team Eclipse grunts, each releasing enhanced Pokémon. Ben found himself surrounded by powerfully built Pokémon wearing the same purple glowing collars he'd seen at Lysandra Labs. This doesn't look good, guys, Ben admitted to his team. But we're not going down without a fight. His Pokémon responded with determined cries, taking battle stances despite the overwhelming odds. The commander raised her hand to order the attack when suddenly the tower shook with a massive explosion from above. What was that? She demanded into her communicator. Report. Static answered her, followed by sounds of battle. Ben grinned, recognizing an opportunity when he saw one. Sounds like Maya didn't get captured after all, he taunted. Never underestimate a good trainer. The commander scowled. Deal with him. I'll check the disturbance. She rushed toward the stairs, leaving the grunts to handle Ben. Now's our chance, Ben told his Pokémon. Froakie, Vivillon, create cover. Froakie released a smokescreen while Vivillon scattered its scales throughout the area, creating a disorienting, sparkling cloud. The enhanced Pokémon hesitated, confused by the impaired visibility. Riolu, force palm on the extraction machine's power coupling. Fletchling, flame charge to clear us a path to the exit. His Pokémon executed the commands perfectly. Riolu's attack severed the machine's connection to its power source, while Fletchling's fiery charge scattered their opponents. Alarms began blaring throughout the tower. Ben recalled most of his team except Froakie and Riolu, then activated the Omnitrix again. Let's try something with more raw power this time, he decided, selecting a form that resembled a massive dragon. The transformation was more intense than usual, his body growing enormously as orange scales covered his skin and a flame ignited at the tip of his tail. When it completed, Ben had become a Charizard, the same form he'd used at Lysandra Labs. His telepathic voice roared with confidence, "Climb on, guys. We're getting out of here." Froakie and Riolu jumped onto his back as Ben unleashed a flamethrower at the nearest wall, blasting a hole large enough for his massive form to fly through. With powerful wing beats, he launched into the night air, circling the tower to assess the situation. The third floor was indeed under attack, but not by Maya. A rival group of trainers led by gym leader Corona was battling Team Eclipse forces, their Pokémon engaging in fierce combat around what appeared to be a secured vault. Corona must have discovered what was happening, Ben realized. But where's Maya? A flash of light from the tournament headquarters caught his attention, one of Maya's signal flares. Ben immediately changed course, flying toward the building where they had spotted the communications jammer earlier. As he approached, he saw Maya on the roof, her Luxray and Sylveon battling desperately against overwhelming odds. Team Eclipse had sprung their trap, but Maya had clearly put up a tremendous fight, several opponents already lay defeated around her. Hold on, Maya. Ben called telepathically, diving toward the battle. Maya looked up in shock at the approaching Charizard, momentarily distracted, which gave her opponent's Houndoom an opening to launch a dark pulse attack directly at her. Ben roared in alarm, pushing his wings to their limit as he raced to intercept. The attack struck Maya before he could reach her, sending her tumbling dangerously close to the roof's edge. No! Ben's telepathic voice thundered as he landed on the roof, tail flame blazing with fury. Froakie and Riolu leaped from his back, immediately moving to protect the fallen Maya while Ben confronted the Team Eclipse forces. A Charizard, one grunt wondered. Where did that come from? Their confusion lasted only a moment before Ben unleashed a devastating flamethrower that drove them back. The enhanced Houndoom lunged at him, teeth gleaming with dark energy, but Ben countered with a dragon claw that sent the canine Pokémon flying. With the immediate threat neutralized, Ben rushed to Maya's side. She was conscious but injured, looking up at him with a mix of pain and wonder. Ben, she whispered, recognizing the Omnitrix symbol on his chest. You came. Of course I did, Ben replied gently. We're partners, remember? The remaining Team Eclipse members were regrouping, preparing for another assault. Ben knew Maya needed medical attention, and they were still outnumbered. Can you disable the jammer? He asked urgently. Maya nodded weakly, pointing to a device at the center of the roof. The control panel needs a specific electrical charge to overload. Luxray, Ben called to her Pokémon. Can you generate that charge? The electric lion nodded in understanding, moving toward the jammer while Riolu, Froakie, and Sylveon formed a defensive perimeter around them. Stop them, shouted the Eclipse commander who had just arrived on the roof. The communications must remain blocked. Her enhanced Pokémon surged forward, only to be met by Ben's fierce counterattack. His Charizard form moved with surprising agility, combining raw power with the battle intelligence he'd developed over years of heroism. Luxray, now! Ben commanded as he cleared a path to the jammer. Maya's Pokémon unleashed a precisely calibrated electrical attack at the control panel. The jammer sparked violently, then exploded in a shower of components. Immediately, the distinctive sound of Pokédex communications activating filled the air as the signal blocking disappeared. You've only delayed the inevitable, the commander snarled. The extraction is nearly complete. Ben turned to face her fully. Actually, I damaged your machine before coming here. Obsidian's operation is failing as we speak. As if to confirm his words, the distant Tower of Mastery suddenly illuminated with a brilliant multicolored light, that contained Mega Evolution energy breaking free of its confinement. The commander's eyes widened in alarm. She quickly activated her communicator. Sir, we need to evacuate. The energy containment is failing. Already done, came Obsidian's calm reply. Secondary objective secured. Withdraw all forces immediately. The commander hesitated only briefly before recalling her Pokémon. This isn't over, she warned Ben and Maya before triggering a smoke bomb that covered her escape. Ben maintained his Charizard form, carefully lifting Maya in his arms. We need to get you to a doctor, he told her, concern evident in his telepathic voice. The tower first, Maya insisted weakly. Whatever secondary objective Obsidian mentioned, could be worse than the extraction. Though reluctant, Ben knew she was right. With Maya securely in his arms and their Pokémon either recalled or holding onto his back, Ben took flight toward the Tower of Mastery. The scene at the tower was chaos. The failed extraction had released a surge of Mega Evolution energy throughout the structure, causing parts of the ancient building to glow with power. Corona and her trainers had driven off most of the Team Eclipse forces, but significant damage had been done. Ben landed carefully in the courtyard where Corona was coordinating the response. The gym leader rushed over, immediately concerned about Maya's condition. What happened? She demanded. Team Eclipse, Ben replied, his telepathic voice surprising Corona until she noticed the Omnitrix symbol. They were extracting Mega Evolution energy from the tower. I know, Corona nodded grimly. We discovered their operation too late. They've stolen several key stones and mega stones from the vault, including some extremely rare ones. That must be the secondary objective Obsidian mentioned, Maya said, wincing as she tried to sit up in Ben's arms. She needs medical attention, Ben told Corina urgently. Medical teams are on the way now that communications are restored, Corina assured him. But I need to know who you are and how you're communicating telepathically as a Charizard. Before Ben could answer, the Omnitrix symbol began beeping. Bad timing as usual, he muttered as the transformation reversed, returning him to human form, still holding Maya, though now struggling with her weight. Corina stared in astonishment. You transformed from a Pokémon back to human? How is that possible? It's a long story, Ben replied, carefully setting Maya down on a nearby bench as emergency responders began arriving at the scene. The short version is I'm not from this dimension, and neither is Obsidian, the leader of Team Eclipse. While medics attended to Maya, Ben explained the situation to Corina, including Obsidian's dimension-hopping technology and his plans for the Mega Evolution energy. The gym leader listened with growing concern. If he's combined the enhancement technology from Lysandra Labs with Mega Stones and Key Stones from our vault, he could create permanently Mega-evolved Pokémon under his control, Corina concluded. The power would be devastating. But he'd need specific Pokémon capable of Mega Evolution, Ben pointed out. Not necessarily, Maya interjected from where the medics were treating her injuries. The data from Lysandra included research on artificially inducing Mega Evolution compatibility in Pokémon not naturally capable of it. Ben's eyes widened. So he could potentially create an army of enhanced, Mega-evolved Pokémon loyal only to him. Exactly, Maya nodded, wincing as a medic applied medication to her injuries. And with the tower's energy, he could make the transformations permanent. Then we need to track him down before he completes the process, Ben decided. Did you capture any Team Eclipse members who might know their next move? Corina nodded. Several. They're being held for questioning, but most are just low-level grunts. They may not know the overall plan. As dawn broke over Shallor City, the full extent of the night's events became clear. The tournament was suspended indefinitely while authorities investigated the attack. News of Team Eclipse's raid spread quickly, along with rumors of their leader's mysterious technology and goals. Ben remained at Maya's side as she received treatment at the Pokémon Center, which had opened its medical facilities to injured trainers. Her injuries weren't life-threatening, mostly bruises and a mild concussion, but the doctor insisted on observation for at least 24 hours. You should be resting, Ben chided as Maya scrolled through reports on her tablet. No time, she replied stubbornly. I'm tracking energy signatures similar to what Professor Maple detected before. If Obsidian activates those Mega Stones, we'll be able to locate him. Ben gently took the tablet from her hands. You won't be able to help anyone if you don't recover first. Maya reluctantly leaned back against the pillows. Fine. But only because I know you're just as invested in finding him. More than you know, Ben admitted, taking a seat beside her bed. I think it's time I told you everything, about the Omnitrix, my world, and why Obsidian is even more dangerous than you realize. For the next hour, Ben explained his history as a hero, from finding the Omnitrix at age 10 to his battles against various intergalactic threats. He described his home universe, his family and friends, and how Obsidian had emerged as a threat by harvesting and weaponizing DNA from multiple dimensions. So that's why he's so interested in Pokémon, Maya realized. Your Omnitrix collects and allows you to transform into different species. His technology does something similar, but for weapons development. Exactly, Ben nodded. In my world, he was harvesting alien DNA. Here, it's Pokémon. Either way, he's exploiting life forms for power. And these Mega Stones would give him access to the most powerful Pokémon transformations possible, Maya concluded grimly. Their conversation was interrupted by a nurse entering with Ben's healed Pokémon. Froakie immediately hopped onto the bed, concerned about Maya's condition. Your friend will be fine, the nurse assured the worried Pokémon. She just needs rest. After the nurse departed, Maya turned to Ben with renewed determination. We need help. Corona is good, but we need more if we're going to stop Obsidian's plan. Who do you have in mind? Ben asked. The Kalos champion, Diantha, Maya replied. And possibly the Elite Four. This threatens the entire region, maybe the world. Ben nodded in agreement. I'll contact them through Corona. You focus on recovery. As Ben stood to leave, Maya caught his wrist, the one without the Omnitrix. Ben, wait. I need to say something. He turned back, questioning. I'm sorry I reacted badly about your transformation ability, she said sincerely. I understand now why you kept it secret. That kind of power, people would always want to use it, control it. Just like Pokémon, Ben noted. Maybe our worlds aren't so different after all. Maya smiled slightly. Partners? Always, Ben confirmed, gently squeezing her hand before heading out to contact Corona. The gym leader was overseeing repairs at the Tower of Mastery when Ben arrived. Despite the damage, the ancient structure remained largely intact, a testament to its sturdy construction. The champion is already on her way, Corona informed him before he could even ask. She'll be here by evening. In the meantime, we've interrogated the captured Eclipse members. And? Ben prompted anxiously. They confirmed what we suspected. Obsidian is planning to use the stolen Mega Stones on specifically enhanced Pokémon. She hesitated, then added, but there's more. They mentioned something called Project Rebirth involving legendary Pokémon. Ben frowned. Which ones? Xerneas and Yveltal, Corona replied grimly. The embodiments of life and death. Ben recalled Maya mentioning these Pokémon earlier, the same ones Lysandra had sought to control. Where would Obsidian find them? I thought they were myths. They're real, Corona assured him. Xerneas is rumored to be dormant in its tree form deep within the forests of Route 20. Yveltal was last reported in the mountains beyond the Pokémon village. Both have been dormant for years following the Team Flare incident. And Obsidian wants to wake them up and enhance them, Ben concluded, the implications settling like a stone in his stomach. With control over life and death energy. He could power his dimensional technology indefinitely, Corona finished. Creating stable portals between worlds. Or worse, Ben added, remembering Obsidian's ambitions. He could merge them. The gravity of the situation wasn't lost on either of them. If Obsidian succeeded, both Ben's world and the Pokémon world could be irreparably damaged. We need to move quickly, Ben decided. How soon can we organize a response team? Champion Diantha will coordinate that upon arrival, Corona replied. For now, we should gather as much intelligence as possible on Team Eclipse's movements. Ben nodded in agreement, though frustration at the delay was evident in his expression. I'll check on Maya and see if she's had any luck tracking those energy signatures. When Ben returned to the Pokémon Center, he found Maya sitting up in bed, looking significantly better. She was engaged in a video call with Professor Maple, whose worried face filled the tablet screen. Ben, the professor exclaimed when she saw him. Thank goodness you're both safe. I've been analyzing the data from the tower incident. Any leads on Obsidian's location? Ben asked hopefully. Nothing concrete yet, Professor Maple admitted. But I've detected unusual energy patterns near Geosenge Town, the site of Team Flare's ultimate weapon. That can't be coincidence, Maya noted. Lysandra built his weapon there specifically because of the region's unique energy properties. Perfect for someone looking to enhance Mega Evolution and legendary Pokémon powers, Ben concluded. How far is Geosenge from here? About a day's journey normally, Maya replied. Less if we can arrange faster transportation. Professor Maple's expression grew even more concerned. There's something else you should know. My analysis suggests Obsidian is accelerating his timetable. Whatever he's planning will happen within the next 48 hours. Why the rush? Ben wondered aloud. The mega stones, Maya realized suddenly. They respond to the lunar cycle. Tomorrow night is a full moon, when their power is at its peak. The pieces clicked into place in Ben's mind. So he raids the tower tonight, enhances his chosen Pokémon throughout the day, and initiates Project Rebirth tomorrow night when the Mega Stones are at full power. Precisely, Professor Maple confirmed. And if he succeeds in awakening and controlling both Xerneas and Yveltal simultaneously. Game over, Ben finished grimly. For both our worlds. Their planning session was interrupted by a nurse entering to check Maya's condition. To everyone's surprise, she gave Maya clearance to leave, though with strict instructions to avoid strenuous activity for another 24 hours. Perfect timing, Maya said after the nurse departed. Champion Diantha will want to meet with both of us. You're still recovering, Ben protested. Maybe you should sit this one out. Maya fixed him with a determined glare. Not a chance. Obsidian threatened my world and hurt my Pokémon. I'm seeing this through to the end. Ben knew better than to argue further. Instead, he helped Maya gather her things while updating her on what he'd learned from Corona about Project Rebirth. As evening approached, they made their way to Shallor City's battle tower where Champion Diantha had established a temporary command center. The elegant woman greeted them with a grave expression that couldn't entirely mask her curiosity about Ben. So you're the Dimension Traveler, she said, studying him with intelligent eyes. Corona has explained your unique abilities. They're real, Ben confirmed, activating the Omnitrix to display its interface. And so is the threat Obsidian poses. Diantha nodded. I believe you. The evidence is too substantial to ignore. That's why I've summoned the Elite Four and several trusted gym leaders to assist. The meeting room filled with some of Kalos's most powerful trainers, each bringing their expertise and Pokémon teams to the mission. Ben recognized Corona, and Maya pointed out others, Olympia of Anistar City, whose psychic abilities might help track Obsidian, Wulfric of Snowbell City, whose Ice-type Pokémon would be effective against Dragon types, and the Elite Four members Wickstrom, Drasna, Seabold, and Malva. Our intelligence confirms Team Eclipse activity near Geosenge Town, Diantha began after introductions were complete. They appear to be utilizing the remnants of Team Flare's underground facility. The perfect location to harness legendary Pokémon, Malva noted, her expression darkening. The energy conduits Lysandra built are still intact beneath the town. Our priority must be preventing them from capturing Xerneas and Yveltal, Diantha continued. To that end, we'll split into 3 teams. Team 1 will secure the dormant Xerneas, Team 2 will protect the mountains where Yveltal rests, and Team 3 will strike directly at the Geosenge facility. Ben and Maya exchanged glances. We should be on Team 3, Ben stated confidently. I know Obsidian's tactics better than anyone, and Maya can track the energy signatures. Diantha considered this briefly before nodding. Agreed. You'll join me, Corona, and Malva on the direct assault team. We leave at dawn. As the meeting concluded with assignment of the remaining teams, Corona approached Ben and Maya privately. There's something you should have, she said, opening a small case to reveal 2 bracelets, each containing a colorful stone. These are mega rings with key stones. They survived the raid because they were being cleaned in a separate facility. Ben stared at the items in surprise. You're giving these to us. But I thought they were incredibly rare. They are, Corona confirmed. But you've proven yourselves worthy partners to Pokémon. If your Froakie evolves fully to Greninja, there's a special bond phenomenon similar to Mega Evolution you might be able to trigger. And Maya's Lucario, which I understand you're training, she nodded to Maya, can Mega evolve with this. She handed them each a ring, along with a second stone for Maya. This Lucarionite was to be the tournament prize. Now it serves a greater purpose. Maya accepted the items reverently. Thank you, Corona. We'll use them well. Just be warned, Korina cautioned. Mega evolution requires perfect harmony between trainer and Pokémon. It tests the bond you've built. If that bond isn't strong enough, the power can backfire, Maya finished, having studied the phenomenon. We understand the responsibility. After final preparations were made, the gathered trainers dispersed to rest before the morning mission. Ben and Maya returned to their tournament cabin, both too wired with anticipation to sleep immediately. So, Ben said, examining his mega ring in the cabin's soft lighting. Tomorrow we face Obsidian with the fate of 2 worlds at stake. Just another Tuesday for me, honestly. Maya laughed despite the tension. Is your life always this chaotic? Pretty much, Ben admitted with a smile. Though usually I have my cousin Gwen and her boyfriend Kevin backing me up instead of Pokémon champions. Are we a poor substitute? Maya teased. Different, Ben clarified. But definitely not worse. In some ways, I've learned more about teamwork here than I ever did back home. Maya raised an eyebrow. How so? Ben gestured to his Pokeballs, each containing partners who had fought beside him despite knowing him only briefly. Pokémon trust inherently. They give you their loyalty and expect you to be worthy of it. It's humbling. That's what makes a good trainer, Maya said softly. Recognizing that responsibility. They fell into companionable silence, each contemplating the challenges ahead. Eventually, Maya spoke again. If we succeed tomorrow, if we stop Obsidian, what then? Will you keep trying to find a way home? Ben considered the question carefully. I have to, eventually. My family, my friends, they don't even know if I'm alive. But. Maya prompted when he hesitated. But I've found something good here too, Ben admitted. Purpose. Friends. A different kind of hero work that's just as important. Maya smiled, understanding in her eyes. Whatever you decide, I'll help you. That's what partners do. Partners, Ben agreed, returning her smile. They spent the remaining hours before sleep strategizing and preparing their Pokémon for the coming battle. Ben's team had grown not just in numbers but in strength and coordination. Froakie, Riolu, Vivillon, now Fletchinder, and Metapod, who showed signs of evolving soon, had become a formidable fighting force under his guidance. As dawn approached, Ben stood by the window, watching the first hints of light creep over the horizon. The Omnitrix glowed softly on his wrist, as if sensing the importance of the coming day. Beside him, Froakie sat in quiet vigilance, the bond between them stronger than ever. Ready for our biggest battle yet, buddy? Ben asked softly. Froakie, his partner replied with quiet determination, bumping a fist against Ben's leg in solidarity. Maya joined them, fully equipped and ready. It's time, she said simply. Together, they stepped out into the breaking dawn, prepared to face whatever challenges awaited in Geosenge Town, and whatever plans Obsidian had set in motion for both their worlds. Chapter 3, Dimensions collide. The Kalos military helicopters cut through the dawn sky, their rhythmic thumping almost hypnotic as Ben stared out the window at the landscape below. Seated across from him, Maya checked her gear one final time, the newly acquired mega ring gleaming on her wrist. Nervous? Ben asked, raising his voice over the rotor noise. Focused, Maya corrected, though the slight tremor in her hands betrayed her. You. Been in worse situations, Ben shrugged, then smiled. Though usually with less advanced warning. Champion Diantha, seated at the front of the helicopter, turned to address the assault team. We're 10 minutes from the drop zone. Team 1 reports they've reached Xerneas's forest sanctuary and established a perimeter. Team 2 is still en route to Yveltal's resting place. Any sign of Team Eclipse activity at either location? Korina asked, adjusting her skating gloves despite having no intention of using her rollerblades on this mission. Nothing concrete, Diantha replied. Which concerns me. Our intelligence suggested they'd be moving on both legendary Pokémon simultaneously. It's a feint, Ben realized suddenly. Obsidian wants us to split our forces. Maya's eyes widened. You think he already has the legendary Pokémon? Or he has another way to access their power, Ben theorized. The energy patterns Professor Maple detected were concentrated entirely around Geosenge, not spread out toward the legendary's locations. Malva, the Fire-type Elite Four member, leaned forward with interest. The ultimate weapon. It was designed to drain life energy. If reconfigured, it could potentially extract power from legendary Pokémon without their physical presence, Diantha finished, alarm evident in her expression. Pilot, push to maximum speed. We need to reach Geosenge immediately. The helicopter lurched as it accelerated, the other two transport choppers flanking them following suit. Ben gripped his seat, his mind racing through possible scenarios. If Obsidian had found a way to remotely tap into legendary Pokémon energy, stopping him would be even more challenging than anticipated. We need a new plan, Ben said, addressing the group. A direct assault might play right into his hands. What do you suggest? Diantha asked, genuinely interested in his input despite his relative newness to their world. Ben activated his Pokédex, pulling up the schematics of Geosenge that Professor Maple had provided. The underground facility has multiple entry points. Instead of all coming in hot, we should split into smaller teams and infiltrate from different angles. Divide our already limited forces? Malva questioned skeptically. That seems risky. More risky than bunching together as one big target. Ben countered. Trust me, I've faced Obsidian before. He'll have prepared for a frontal assault. Diantha studied the schematics, then nodded decisively. Ben's right. We'll break into 3-strike teams. Corona and I will take the main entrance with half our trainers. Malva will lead the second team through the service tunnels. Ben and Maya will infiltrate through the ventilation system that connects to the mountain. The smallest entry point, Maya noted. Makes sense, we're the most nimble team. And the most likely to go undetected, Diantha added. Your mission is reconnaissance and sabotage. Locate Obsidian's primary equipment and disable it while we draw their forces to the main entrances. The helicopters began their descent toward a clearing several kilometers from Geosenge town. As they landed, the assembled trainers made final preparations, checking Pokeballs and communication devices. Ben released Froakie, kneeling to address his partner at eye level. This is it, buddy. Our biggest battle yet. You ready? Froakie. The water Pokémon responded confidently, bumping his fist against Ben's in their now customary gesture of solidarity. Maya released her Lucario, the fighting type standing proud and attentive. We'll need your aura senses to navigate underground, she told her Pokémon, who nodded in understanding. As the teams organized, Diantha approached Ben and Maya one last time. We'll create the diversion in 30 minutes. That should give you enough time to reach your entry point. She handed them each a small earpiece. Keep communications to emergencies only. We must assume Team Eclipse is monitoring standard frequencies. Got it, Ben confirmed, tucking the device into his ear. Good luck, champion. And to you both, Diantha replied solemnly. The fate of our world may rest on what happens in the next few hours. No pressure, Maya muttered as Diantha walked away. Ben grinned despite the tension. Hey, saving the world is kind of my specialty. They set off immediately, moving through the forest that surrounded the northern approach to Geosenge. Maya's Lucario took point, its aura-sensing abilities helping them avoid wild Pokémon that might give away their position. So, Maya said after they'd been hiking for several minutes, do you have a plan beyond, get in and break stuff? That's usually step one, Ben admitted. But yeah, I've been thinking. Obsidian's dimensional technology requires 3 components, a power source, a stabilizer, and a genetic catalyst. The legendary energy, the modified ultimate weapon, and the Mega Stones, Maya translated. Exactly. If we can disable any one of those components, the whole system fails. Ben ducked under a low-hanging branch. The question is which one is most vulnerable. The stabilizer, Maya suggested without hesitation. It's mechanical, not energy or crystal-based. Your Omnitrix forms could more easily disable machinery than counter pure energy. Ben nodded, impressed by her tactical thinking. Good call. We target the stabilizer first. If that fails, we go for the power conduits. They reached the ventilation access point, a rusted grate built into the mountainside, partially concealed by vegetation. According to the schematics, it connected to the lowest levels of Team Flare's former headquarters, now Team Eclipse's base of operations. Looks like it hasn't been used in years, Maya observed, examining the corroded metal. Probably not guarded. Only one way to find out, Ben replied, activating the Omnitrix. He scrolled through available forms, selecting one suited for reconnaissance. In a flash of green light, he transformed into a small, purple ghost Pokémon with a mischievous grin. Jengar is perfect for scouting, Maya approved as Ben floated eerily before her. I'll check for guards or traps, Ben's telepathic voice echoed in her mind. Wait here with Lucario. Ben phased through the grate, his gaseous form easily navigating the narrow ventilation shaft. The duct was indeed abandoned, cobwebs breaking as he passed through them. He followed the shaft downward, occasionally pausing to peer through vents into the facility below. What he saw confirmed their worst fears. Team Eclipse had fully occupied the base, converting it for their purposes. Enhanced Pokémon with the now familiar purple collars patrolled alongside human guards, and sophisticated equipment had been installed throughout. Ben continued deeper, finally reaching a massive chamber that could only be the main control room. He suppressed a gasp at what he saw. In the center stood a reconstructed version of the ultimate weapon, a massive crystalline flower-like device now modified with Obsidian's dimensional technology. The machine pulsed with alternating colors, a vibrant blue-green reminiscent of Xernea's, and a deep crimson that could only represent Yveltal's energy. Obsidian himself stood on a raised platform, overseeing final adjustments to the machine. His armor had been further modified, now incorporating elements that clearly echoed the legendary Pokémon he sought to exploit. Energy siphoning at 62%, a technician reported. Resistance from both targets is significant but manageable. Increase power to the suppression fields, Obsidian ordered calmly. We need only maintain the connection for another 4 hours until lunar alignment. Sir, another Eclipse member approached urgently, our perimeter sensors detect approaching forces. Multiple signatures consistent with high-level trainers. Right on schedule, Obsidian noted with what sounded like satisfaction. Deploy our enhanced units to the main and secondary entrances. Ensure our guests are appropriately entertained. Ben had seen enough. He retraced his path through the ventilation system, returning to where Maya and Lucario waited anxiously. What did you find? Maya asked as Ben reverted to human form, the Omnitrix timing out. It's worse than we thought, Ben reported grimly. Obsidian has rebuilt the ultimate weapon, but he's modified it to remotely siphon energy from Xernea's and Yveltal. He's not capturing them physically, he's draining them from a distance. That shouldn't be possible, Maya protested. The legends say their power can only be harnessed in their presence. Obsidian's dimensional tech must be allowing him to bridge that limitation, Ben explained. He's creating microportals to their life force. And our diversion? Maya pressed. Already detected. He's deploying forces to the main entrances now. Ben checked his Pokédex. We have maybe 15 minutes before Diantha's team engages. We need to move. Ben removed the grate as quietly as possible, and they slipped into the ventilation system. Maya recalled Lucario to its Pokeball to navigate the narrow passage, while Froakie scouted ahead with Ben. The sounds of distant alarms soon echoed through the ducts. Diantha's diversion had begun. Ben and Maya increased their pace, following the path Ben had mapped during his reconnaissance. There, Ben whispered, pointing through a vent to a maintenance access room below. That room connects to the main chamber. No guards, they've all been called to the entrances. Maya nodded, and Ben carefully removed the vent cover. They dropped silently into the room, immediately releasing their primary Pokémon. Froakie, already out, took a defensive stance while Maya's Lucario emerged, instantly alert. Lucario, sense for nearby presences, Maya commanded quietly. The fighting type closed its eyes, extending its aura-sensing abilities. After a moment, it gestured toward the corridor, clear for now, but with signatures approaching from the distance. We need to hurry, Ben said, checking the Omnitrix, fully recharged and ready. According to the schematics, the primary stabilizer should be one level down from the main chamber. They moved quickly through the facility, using Lucario's aura sense to avoid patrols. The distant sounds of battle grew louder. Diantha and Coronis teams were fully engaged with Team Eclipse forces. This way, Ben directed, consulting his Pokédex map as they descended a maintenance stairwell. The stabilizer room should be just ahead. The door to the stabilizer chamber was locked with an electronic keypad. Ben grinned at Maya. Want to do the honors, or should I? Allow me, Maya replied with a confident smile. Lucario, Metal Claw. Her Pokémon's paw glowed silver before slashing through the control panel with surgical precision. The door slid open with a hydraulic hiss, revealing a room filled with humming equipment, the heart of Obsidian's dimensional stabilizer. Jackpot, Ben whispered as they slipped inside. Now we just need to disable my operation, a familiar voice interrupted. I'm afraid I can't allow that. They spun around to find Obsidian standing in the doorway, flanked by two enhanced Pokémon, an Agron and a Tyranitar, both wearing more advanced versions of the enhancement collars, now inset with what appeared to be fragments of Mega Stones. I must admit, your infiltration was impressive, Obsidian continued conversationally. Most of my forces are quite distracted by your champion's frontal assault. How did you know we'd come here? Maya demanded, Lucario moving protectively in front of her. Because it's what I would do, Obsidian replied simply. Target the stabilizer, not the power source. Basic interdimensional mechanics. Ben stepped forward, the Omnitrix primed and ready. It's over, Obsidian. We know what you're planning with Xernea's and Yveltal's energy. Do you? Obsidian seemed genuinely curious. I doubt it. You see, Project Rebirth isn't merely about creating enhanced Pokémon or even stable dimensional portals. It's about remaking reality itself. Ben's eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? Your Omnitrix adapts to the dominant DNA of whatever universe you're in, Obsidian explained. My technology goes further, it can rewrite that dominant DNA pattern across an entire dimension. The implications hit Ben like a physical blow. You're going to turn my Earth into a Pokémon world. Or this world into one populated by your aliens, Obsidian confirmed. The choice is actually yours, Benjamin. What? Ben and Maya exclaimed simultaneously. Obsidian gestured expansively. Join me. With your Omnitrix and my technology, we could create a perfect hybrid reality. Your heroic aliens and this world's fascinating Pokémon, coexisting under our guidance. Under your control, you mean, Ben corrected angrily. That's not coexistence, it's conquest. Such limited vision, Obsidian sighed. Very well. If you won't join willingly, I'll simply extract what I need from the Omnitrix directly. He signaled his enhanced Pokémon. Secure them. Non-lethal force only, the boy's watch must remain intact. The massive Pokémon surged forward with frightening speed despite their size. Ben slammed down the Omnitrix without scrolling, accepting whatever form it gave him. Green light enveloped him as his body grew, muscles expanding and skin hardening into blue fur. When the transformation completed, Ben stood as a Lucario, similar to Maya's partner but with the distinctive Omnitrix symbol on his chest. To Lucario. Obsidian observed. Interesting choice, if ultimately futile. Ben didn't waste time responding. Instead, he launched forward with force palm, striking Agron directly in its armored chest. The fighting-type move was super effective, making the steel behemoth slide backwards several feet. Simultaneously, Maya's Lucario engaged Tyranitar, moving with incredible grace as it dodged a hyper beam before countering with close combat. Froakie, water pulse on Agron. Maya commanded, recognizing the type advantage. Her strategic mind quickly assessed the battle flow, coordinating their Pokémon while Ben handled himself in Lucario form. Ben found the Lucario transformation surprisingly intuitive. The fighting type's natural battle instincts complemented his own experience, allowing him to anticipate and counter Agron's powerful but predictable attacks. More importantly, his aura-sensing abilities gave him enhanced awareness of his surroundings, including the stabilizer components behind him. Maya. Ben called telepathically. Keep them occupied. I'll destroy the stabilizer. She nodded almost imperceptibly, understanding the plan without further explanation. Froakie, smokescreen. Lucario, extreme speed. As her Pokémon executed the commands, creating chaos and drawing attention, Ben disengaged from Agron and leaped toward the primary stabilizer controls. He formed an aura sphere between his paws, a move he instinctively knew how to perform in this form, and launched it at the central processing unit. The sphere of concentrated energy struck with devastating accuracy, blasting through delicate circuits and power conduits. Alarms immediately blared as systems began to fail. No! Obsidian shouted, genuine alarm in his voice for the first time. He activated controls on his gauntlet, and his enhanced Pokémon suddenly broke off their attacks, retreating to his side. Initiate emergency protocols. Redirect power to secondary stabilizers. The damaged machinery sparked violently, but auxiliary systems began activating throughout the room. Ben realized with dismay that Obsidian had prepared for this contingency. You're persistent, I'll grant you that, Obsidian said, his calm demeanor returning. But ultimately predictable. Every component in this facility has redundancies. A sudden explosion rocked the base, causing even Obsidian to stagger. What was that? He demanded into his communicator. Champion's forces have breached the main defenses, came the panicked reply. They've reached the central chamber. Obsidian's posture shifted subtly, a barely perceptible tension that Ben's Lucario senses detected clearly. Accelerate the timetable, he ordered. Begin final energy extraction now. But sir, lunar alignment is still hours away, now. Obsidian commanded. We'll compensate with increased power from the enhancers. He turned back to Ben and Maya. I'm afraid I must cut our reunion short. My enhanced friends will keep you company. With that, he pressed another control on his gauntlet. The collars on Agron and Tyranitar pulsed with intense purple energy, causing both Pokémon to roar in pain as their forms began to change. He's forcing artificial mega evolution. Maya gasped as the Pokémon transformed, their bodies reconfiguring into more powerful forms with crystalline growths emerging from their armor plates. Go, Obsidian instructed the enhanced Mega Pokémon. Ensure they don't leave this room alive. He then disappeared through a concealed door that sealed immediately behind him. The Mega Agron and Mega Tyranitar turned toward them, their eyes glowing with unnatural purple light. These weren't the natural Mega evolutions Maya had described, they were corrupted, forcibly evolved versions pumped with legendary energy. This isn't good, Ben noted, assessing their opponents. His Lucario form, while powerful, wouldn't be enough against two artificially enhanced Mega Pokémon. We need to match power with power, Maya said decisively, touching the Mega ring on her wrist. Lucario, are you ready? Her Pokémon nodded firmly, the bond between them palpable even to Ben's senses. Maya touched the key stone embedded in her Mega ring, which began to glow in resonance with the Lucarionite her Pokémon held. Lucario, Mega Evolve, she called. Streams of energy connected trainer and Pokémon as Lucario transformed, its body reconfiguring into a more powerful form. Spikes emerged from its paws and chest, its aura sensors lengthened, and power radiated from its now cream and red fur. When the transformation completed, Mega Lucario stood ready, untainted power a stark contrast to the corrupted Pokémon they faced. "Now we're talking," Ben approved, impressed by the transformation. "It's still 2 against 1, Maya pointed out. "Your Lucario form is strong, but not Mega level." Ben nodded, slapping the Omnitrix symbol on his chest to revert to human form. "Time for something with more firepower." He activated the interface again, this time carefully selecting a specific form. The transformation was dramatic. Ben's body grew enormously, developing orange scales and powerful wings as intense heat built within him. When the green light faded, he had become Charizard once more, the form that had served him well in previous battles. "Let's even the odds," Ben's telepathic voice rumbled confidently. The enhanced Mega Pokémon attacked simultaneously, Mega Aggron launching a flash cannon while Mega Tyranitar unleashed a stone edge that sent razor-sharp rocks hurtling toward them. Ben took to the air with powerful wing beats, countering the flash cannon with a flamethrower that resulted in a mid-air explosion. Meanwhile, Maya's Mega Lucario moved with incredible speed, dodging between stone edge projectiles while Froakie provided support with well-aimed water pulses. "We need to disable those enhancement collars," Maya called to Ben. "That's the source of their corrupted power." Ben banked sharply in the air, assessing the situation. The collars were integrated into the Mega Pokémon's forms, making them difficult targets. A direct approach would be risky, but perhaps. "Maya," Ben called telepathically. "Remember our double battle technique? The combination attack." Understanding flashed in her eyes. "Froakie, target Tyranitar's legs with Ice Beam. Mega Lucario, prepare Aura Sphere but hold." Froakie, displaying growing power, unleashed a beam of freezing energy that crystallized around Tyranitar's feet, temporarily immobilizing the massive Pokémon. Mega Lucario formed a sphere of concentrated aura energy between its paws, waiting for the signal. Ben circled overhead, building intense heat in his Charizard form. "Now," he commanded, diving toward the immobilized Tyranitar while unleashing his most powerful fire blast. Simultaneously, Maya shouted, "Lucario, release Aura Sphere." The two attacks, one fire, one fighting, converged on Tyranitar from different angles, striking the enhancement collar at precisely the same moment. The resulting explosion sent shockwaves throughout the room, throwing everyone off balance. When the smoke cleared, Tyranitar had reverted to its base form, the collar destroyed. The Pokémon collapsed, unconscious but freed from Obsidian's control. "One down," Maya exclaimed triumphantly. Their victory was short-lived as Mega Aggron charged through the dissipating smoke, slamming into Ben with a devastating head smash attack. Despite his Charizard form's power, the impact sent Ben crashing into the stabilizer equipment, further damaging it but also leaving him momentarily stunned. "Ben!" Maya cried in alarm. "Lucario, protect him. Close combat." Her Mega Lucario leaped into action, intercepting Aggron before it could press its advantage against Ben. The two Pokémon engaged in a flurry of strikes, Lucario's fighting moves effective against the steel/rock type but the sheer bulk of Aggron making it difficult to take down. Ben struggled to his feet, wings spread for balance. The impact had hurt more than he wanted to admit, but Charizard's natural toughness kept him battle-ready. More concerning was the state of the stabilizer room. The equipment was sparking dangerously, and structural integrity warnings flashed on the remaining operational screens. "The whole system's going critical," Ben warned telepathically. "We need to finish this and get out." Maya nodded grimly, her focus never leaving the battle. "Froakie, circle behind and use Ice Beam on Aggron's joints." The water Pokémon moved with impressive agility, finding angles to strike at Aggron's less armored areas. As ice formed around its knees and elbows, the behemoth's movement slowed. Ben saw their opportunity. Together again. Same target. He gathered fire in his maw while Mega Lucario prepared another aura sphere. This time, however, Agron anticipated the strategy. It stomped heavily, creating an earthquake that disrupted their positioning and forced them to delay their attacks. The tremor caused more damage to the already failing stabilizer system. A massive power surge ripped through the room as conduits overloaded. Equipment exploded in showers of sparks, and the ceiling began to crack ominously. "We're out of time," Maya shouted over the cacophony of alarms and crumbling infrastructure. "This place is coming down." Ben made a split-second decision. Rather than targeting the collar, he dove directly at Agron, grabbing the massive Pokémon in his Charizard claws. With a mighty effort, he lifted the struggling behemoth and hurled it directly into the central stabilizer column. The impact was catastrophic. Agron crashed through the primary equipment, its metallic body conducting the energy surge throughout the stabilizer systems. The enhancement collar overloaded, and Agron reverted to its base form amid a cascade of electrical discharges. "Time to go." Ben roared telepathically, swooping down to grab Maya while Mega Lucario scooped up Froakie. "The whole place is collapsing." They burst through the door just as the stabilizer room imploded behind them. The corridor was chaos, Team Eclipse members fleeing in all directions as structural failures cascaded throughout the facility. Through the confusion, Ben spotted a familiar face, Corona battling alongside her Mega Lucario against Team Eclipse forces. "This way." Corona called upon seeing them. Dianthus reached the central chamber. Ben, still in Charizard form with Maya held securely, followed Corona through the disintegrating facility. Mega Lucario kept pace, protecting their flanks from debris and occasional Eclipse members who hadn't yet retreated. They emerged into the massive central chamber where the modified ultimate weapon pulsed with increasingly unstable energy. Diantha and her Gardevoir were engaged in battle with multiple enhanced Pokémon while Malva and other Kalos trainers worked to evacuate captured researchers and free imprisoned Pokémon. At the center of it all, on a raised platform, stood Obsidian. He was interfacing directly with the weapon, his armor connected to the machine by pulsing energy conduits. The weapon itself had partially activated, a beam of swirling blue-green and crimson energy stretching upward through an opening in the ceiling toward the sky. "He's initiated the process early." Corona shouted over the noise. "The energy extraction from Xerneas and Yveltal is unstable without proper lunar alignment." Ben deposited Maya safely on a stable section of floor before landing beside her, reverting to human form as the Omnitrix timed out. "That means he's desperate," Ben assessed. Losing the primary stabilizer forced his hand. Diantha fought her way to their position. "We've neutralized most of their forces, but that machine is the real threat. It's tearing rifts in reality, sensors are detecting dimensional anomalies throughout Geosenge. We need to shut it down at the source," Ben decided, looking up at Obsidian's position. "He's the control point now, interfaced directly with the system." "I'm coming with you," Maya stated firmly, her Mega Lucario nodding in agreement. "Me too," Corona added. "My Lucario and I know this facility better than anyone, we helped decommission it after Team Flare's defeat." Ben looked at his Pokémon team. Froakie stood determined despite the chaos, while his other Pokémon remained secure in their balls. "Okay, we go together." "Diantha, can you and Malva handle evacuation?" The champion nodded. "We'll get everyone out and establish a perimeter. You have 10 minutes before this place completely collapses, after that, we can't guarantee extraction." 10 minutes is plenty, Ben said with more confidence than he felt. He checked the Omnitrix, still recharging after the Charizard transformation. They'd have to start without its help. The trio began making their way toward Obsidian's platform, battling through remaining Team Eclipse members and navigating increasingly unstable terrain. The entire chamber trembled periodically as energy surges ripped through the facility. "Almost there." Corona called as they approached the base of the platform. "There's an access lift." Her words were cut short as a section of ceiling collapsed, separating Corona from Ben and Maya. "Go on!" Corona shouted through the debris. "I'll find another way up." Ben and Maya exchanged determined looks before sprinting to the lift. As they ascended toward Obsidian's position, the full scope of his operation became clear. The modified ultimate weapon wasn't just draining energy, it was creating a massive dimensional portal above Geosenge Town, visible through the ceiling opening. "He's actually doing it," Maya whispered in awe and horror. "Trying to merge dimensions." They reached the platform level to find Obsidian standing before a complex control console, his armor integrated with the machinery. Energy flowed through conduits connected to his suit, and through the faceplate of his helmet, they could see his eyes, human, determined, and completely convinced of the righteousness of his actions. "Ah, the heroes arrive," Obsidian noted without turning. "Right on cue for the culmination of my work." "It's over, Obsidian," Ben called, the Omnitrix beeping as it finally recharged. "Your stabilizer is destroyed, your forces defeated. Shut it down now." "Destroyed?" "No, merely transformed," Obsidian corrected, finally facing them. "The stabilizer was always a temporary measure. Now, I am the stabilizer. My armor is channeling the legendary energy directly." Maya's Mega Lucario growled, sensing the wrongness of the energy flow. Froki hopped forward protectively in front of Ben. "You're killing Xerneas and Yveltal by draining them like this," Maya accused. "The legends say their energy is finite when extracted forcibly." "A necessary sacrifice for universal rebirth," Obsidian replied calmly. "When the dimensions merge, new legendary powers will emerge. Evolution demands adaptation, sometimes at a cost." Ben had heard enough. He activated the Omnitrix, selecting a form he hadn't used before but that the interface indicated would be powerful. "Let's test that theory." The transformation was unlike any he'd experienced before. Energy coursed through him, his body growing tall and sleek with blue-black fur. A red mane erupted from his head, and sharp claws extended from his paws. When the green light faded, Ben stood as a Zoroark, the illusion fox Pokémon. "Interesting choice," Obsidian noted. "But illusions won't save you now." Ben smiled inwardly, feeling this form's unique power. Zoroark wasn't just about illusions, it was about manipulating perception and reality itself. Perfect for countering Obsidian's dimensional manipulations. "Maya, target the energy conduits." Ben commanded telepathically. "I'll handle Obsidian directly." She nodded, directing both Froki and her Mega Lucario to attack the glowing tubes that connected Obsidian to the weapon. Meanwhile, Ben focused his Zoroark abilities, creating an illusion that duplicated himself multiple times, surrounding Obsidian with identical copies. "Parlor tricks," Obsidian scoffed, activating defensive systems in his armor that released energy pulses to disrupt the illusions. "I expected more from the wielder of the Omnitrix. How about this?" Ben replied, the illusions serving their purpose as distraction while he circled behind Obsidian. He unleashed a night-slash attack directly at the junction where Obsidian's armor connected to the main control console. The strike landed with surprising effectiveness, dark-type energy disrupting the connection temporarily. The energy beam fluctuated, and the dimensional portal above wavered. "No!" Obsidian shouted, genuine alarm in his voice. He spun with unexpected speed, his armor enhancing his reflexes. "You don't understand what you're interfering with." An energy blast from his gauntlet struck Ben directly, sending him sliding across the platform. The attack hurt, but Zoroark's natural durability absorbed much of the impact. Meanwhile, Maya's Pokémon were making progress against the energy conduits. Froki's water pulse combined with Mega Lucario's aura sphere destroyed one major junction, causing further instability in the system. Obsidian recognized the threat and reacted accordingly. "Enough games," he growled, pressing a sequence on his control panel. Hidden compartments in the platform opened, releasing 4 enhanced Pokémon, a Jengar, Alakazam, Gyarados, and Salamence, all wearing the advanced enhancement collars. Keep them occupied, he ordered his Pokémon. I need 3 more minutes to complete the merge. The enhanced Pokémon moved with frightening coordination, immediately targeting Maya and her team. Ben leaped to intercept, using Zoroark's agility to position himself between the threats and his friends. Maya. I can't hold all 4. Ben called telepathically, unleashing a dark pulse that temporarily pushed back Alakazam and Jengar. Froakie, help Ben. Maya commanded. Lucario and I will continue targeting the conduits. Froakie bounded to Ben's side, launching a quick succession of water pulses at Gyarados. The attack seemed painfully ineffective against the enhanced water serpent, which retaliated with a hydrodynamo that sent Froakie tumbling. Froakie. Ben called in concern, momentarily distracted, which gave Salamence an opening to strike with Dragon Rush, hitting Ben squarely and sending him crashing into the control console. The impact disrupted the weapon's operation further, causing power fluctuations throughout the system. Obsidian worked frantically to stabilize the process, rerouting energy through his armor. The interference is accelerating the merge, he shouted, more to himself than anyone. Containment failing, but perhaps that's necessary. Ben struggled to his feet, his Zoroark form battered but still battle-ready. He glanced at Froakie, who had also risen despite the powerful hit. Something was happening to his partner. Froakie's body glowed with evolutionary energy. No way, Ben breathed telepathically. Now. In a flash of light, Froakie evolved into Frogadier, its body growing larger and more streamlined. The newly evolved Pokémon stood tall, a determined expression on its face as it faced the enhanced Gyarados once more. Frogadier. Ben exclaimed joyfully. Perfect timing, buddy. The evolution had brought new power and moves. Frogadier launched forward with incredible speed, using cut attacks that sliced through the water with precision, striking Gyarados multiple times before it could react. Ben felt renewed determination. Let's show them what a real team can do, he called to Frogadier. Together they engaged the enhanced Pokémon, buying time for Maya and Mega Lucario to continue their assault on the energy conduits. The battle intensified as the chamber shook more violently. Through the ceiling opening, the dimensional portal had grown to encompass much of the sky above Geosenge, swirling with chaotic energy patterns. Maya and her Lucario destroyed another major conduit, causing Obsidian to stagger as energy feedback surged through his armor. You're too late, he shouted, regaining his balance. The process is self-sustaining now. In moments, both dimensions will merge. Ben realized they needed to change tactics. Destroying the conduits wasn't enough, they needed to disrupt the control system itself. But how? The answer came from an unexpected source. As Ben dodged another attack from Salamence, the Omnitrix symbol on his chest began pulsing with unusual patterns. He felt it connecting somehow with both Frogadier and the dimensional energy saturating the chamber. The Omnitrix, Ben realized suddenly. It's designed to adapt to dimensional DNA patterns. It might be able to counter Obsidian's merge. What do you need? Maya called, ducking under debris as another section of ceiling collapsed. Cover me. I need direct access to the main controls. Ben responded, reverting to human form as he realized what needed to be done. Maya nodded. Lucario, protect formation. Frogadier, with me. Her Mega Lucario created a protective energy barrier around Ben while Maya and Frogadier engaged the enhanced Pokémon directly. The newly evolved water Pokémon moved with incredible coordination alongside Maya's commands, showing the strength of their bond despite technically being Ben's partner. Ben reached the control console, examining the interface quickly. The system was complex, but the basic principles resembled Galvan technology he'd encountered before. The Omnitrix was already reacting to the dimensional energies, its interface cycling rapidly through alien and Pokémon forms. Come on, don't fail me now, Ben muttered, activating the Omnitrix but not selecting a transformation. Instead, he placed his hand directly on the primary control crystal, allowing the watch to interface with the system. The Omnitrix's green energy spread through the console, countering the chaotic swirl of legendary colors. Ben felt the device heating up on his wrist, working harder than it ever had before. Obsidian noticed the interference immediately. No. Get away from there. He disengaged from his remaining connections, lunging toward Ben. Maya's Lucario intercepted him with close combat, driving him back momentarily but taking damage from his enhanced armor in the process. Ben, whatever you're doing, hurry. Maya called, her Pokémon tiring as they fought against overwhelming odds. The Omnitrix's interface displayed a message Ben had never seen before: Dimensional Stabilization Protocol activated. The watch began drawing in the chaotic energy, acting as a buffer between the colliding realities. It's working. Ben shouted as the portal above began to contract rather than expand. The Omnitrix is stabilizing the dimensional boundaries. Obsidian roared in frustration, unleashing a pulse of energy from his armor that knocked Maya's Lucario aside. He charged toward Ben, determination evident even behind his helmet. I won't let you undo years of work. The worlds must be united. As he reached for Ben, a water shuriken intercepted his grasp, slicing through one of his armor's power conduits. Frogadier had abandoned its other battles to protect Ben, demonstrating loyalty that transcended ordinary trainer-Pokémon relationships. Thanks, buddy, Ben nodded to his partner before turning back to Obsidian. It's over. The Omnitrix is designed to prevent exactly what you're trying to do, cross-dimensional contamination. You think your watch is more sophisticated than my life's work? Obsidian snarled, preparing another attack. Before he could launch it, the platform shuddered violently. The ultimate weapon's power core was destabilizing, energy feedback cascading through the remaining systems. With the dimensional merge halted, the extracted legendary energy had nowhere to go. The core's going critical. Maya shouted, recalling her exhausted Pokémon to their balls for safety. We need to evacuate now. Obsidian glanced at his instruments, then at the failing portal above. His shoulders slumped slightly, the first sign of defeat Ben had ever seen from him. So close, he murmured. Years of work. Come with us, Ben offered surprisingly, still maintaining the Omnitrix's connection to stabilize the system long enough for evacuation. Whatever you did was wrong, but your knowledge could help both worlds if used properly. For a moment, Obsidian seemed to consider it. Then his posture straightened. No. If I cannot unite the worlds, I will find another way. He activated a device on his gauntlet, and a small personal portal opened beside him. Until next time, Ben Tennyson. Before Ben could stop him, Obsidian stepped through the portal, which snapped shut immediately after. His enhanced Pokémon, suddenly without his control, collapsed as their collars deactivated. Ben. The stabilization won't hold much longer. Maya warned, the entire chamber now shaking continuously. Ben nodded, disengaging the Omnitrix from the console. The device was hot on his wrist, its energy depleted from countering the dimensional merge. Let's go. Frogadier, with me. They raced toward the lift, but found it non-operational due to power failures. The platform was now isolated, with debris blocking most escape routes. We're trapped. Maya realized, looking around desperately for an exit. Ben checked the Omnitrix, completely drained from the stabilization protocol. I can't transform right now, he admitted. The watch needs time to recharge. Frogadier looked up at them both, then at the opening in the ceiling where the now closed portal had been. The Pokémon made a decisive sound, grabbing both Ben and Maya around their waists. What are you? Ben began, but his question was answered as Frogadier crouched, then leaped with incredible force. They shot upward through the ceiling opening, Frogadier's powerful legs carrying them clear of the collapsing chamber. They landed on the surface just as a massive explosion rocked the underground facility. The ground shuddered beneath them, sections collapsing inward as the ultimate weapon's power core finally detonated. Everyone clear the area, came Diantha's commanding voice. The champion was coordinating evacuation at a safe distance, her Gardevoir creating psychic barriers to contain debris. Ben, Maya, and Frogadier sprinted toward the evacuation point, joining Corona, Malva, and the other trainers who had made it to safety. Behind them, Geosenge Center collapsed further, dust billowing skyward. The dimensional anomalies are disappearing, one of the scientists reported, checking instruments. Whatever you did down there, it worked. The Omnitrix, Ben explained, looking at the temporarily deactivated device on his wrist. It stabilized the boundaries between dimensions. Diantha approached them, relief evident in her expression. And Obsidian? Escaped through a personal portal, Maya reported grimly. But his operation is destroyed, and we freed the legendary Pokémon from his energy siphon. The champion nodded thoughtfully. Then we've won the battle, if not the war. For now, that's enough. As emergency teams secured the area and treated injured Pokémon and trainers, Ben found a quiet moment with Maya and Frogadier. His partner stood proudly in its evolved form, clearly pleased with its new abilities and its role in their escape. You were amazing, Ben told Frogadier, kneeling to meet the Pokémon at eye level. Evolving mid-battle, then saving us both. I couldn't ask for a better partner. Frogadier. The Pokémon replied happily, bumping its fist against Ben's in their familiar gesture. Maya smiled at their interaction. Your bond is special. Not unlike what drives Mega Evolution. Ben nodded, looking up at her. Speaking of which, you and Lucario were incredible. That Mega form is seriously powerful. It takes complete trust between trainer and Pokémon, Maya explained, fingering the Mega ring on her wrist. Something I think you understand better than most. They fell into comfortable silence, watching as the sun began to set over the damaged town. The crisis had been averted, the dimensions preserved, but questions remained. Obsidian was still out there, planning his next move. And Ben was still stranded in the Pokémon world, though perhaps not as unhappily as before. What will you do now? Maya asked eventually, voicing the question that hung between them. Ben looked at the Omnitrix, which had begun showing signs of reactivation. I still need to find a way home eventually. My family, my friends, they need to know I'm okay. And Obsidian? He'll be back, Ben said with certainty. His type always is. Next time, we'll be ready. We. Maya repeated, a hopeful note in her voice. Ben smiled, meeting her eyes. Yeah, we. If you're willing to keep putting up with an interdimensional hero with a weird watch. I think I can manage, she replied, returning his smile. Besides, someone needs to continue your Pokémon training. Frogadier still has one more evolution to go. Speaking of evolutions, came Professor Maple's voice as she approached, having arrived with reinforcements from her research station. I've been analyzing the data from the Omnitrix's interaction with the dimensional portal. There might be a way to create controlled connections between your world and ours, Ben. Ben's eyes widened. You mean I could go home and still come back? Theoretically, the professor nodded. The Omnitrix absorbed significant dimensional data during the stabilization process. With time and proper equipment, we might be able to use that data to create a stable bridge. The possibility was tantalizing, a solution that wouldn't require him to choose one world over the other. He could return to his family, his responsibilities as a hero in his own dimension, while still maintaining his new life and connections in the Pokémon world. How long would it take to develop? Ben asked. Months, at least, Professor Maple admitted. The science is complex, and we'd need to ensure it doesn't create the same dangers Obsidian's method did. Ben nodded thoughtfully, then looked at Frogadier and Maya. Guess I'm sticking around a while longer then. Good, Maya said decisively. Because the Kalos League tournament starts in 3 months, and you're nowhere near ready. Hey! Ben protested with mock offense. I just helped save the world. Again. Saving the world and winning a Pokémon League are very different challenges, Maya teased. Though I suppose your chances improve now that Frogadier evolved. Their playful banter was interrupted by Diantha calling everyone together for a debriefing. As they walked toward the gathering, Ben felt a sense of peace despite the recent chaos. This world had become more than just a temporary stop on his journey home, it had become a second home itself. 3 months later, Ben stood at the entrance to the Kalos Pokémon League Stadium, Pokédex in hand as he registered for the tournament. Beside him, his fully evolved Greninja adjusted the special band around its head, a modification Professor Maple had developed to help channel the unique bond phenomenon they sometimes experienced in battle. Nervous? Maya asked, her own registration already complete. She had decided to enter the tournament as well, though they had carefully arranged the brackets to avoid facing each other until the finals, if both made it that far. Excited, Ben corrected, watching as other trainers and their Pokémon filed into the massive complex. Hard to believe it's been almost 6 months since I landed here. Much had changed in that time. Ben's team had grown into a formidable force. Greninja, his starter and most trusted partner, Lucario, evolved from the Riolu he'd caught early in his journey. Talonflame, the evolved form of his fletchling, Butterfree, evolved from Caterpie. Vivillon, his first capture, and Gallade, a recent addition that had been drawn to the unusual energy of the Omnitrix. The Dimensional Bridge project was progressing well under Professor Maple's guidance. Initial tests had successfully created small, temporary connections between dimensions, enough to send data packets but not yet stable enough for physical transport. Still, it was promising progress. Team Eclipse had gone quiet following their defeat at Geosenge, though occasional reports surfaced of Obsidian sightings or energy signatures matching his technology. The Kalos authorities remained vigilant, but the immediate threat had passed. Ben Tennyson called a tournament official, checking her tablet. You're registered in Block C. Your first match is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you, Ben replied, accepting his official competitor's badge. As they moved into the competitor's village, Ben's Pokédex chimed with an incoming call. He answered to find Professor Maple's excited face on the screen. Ben. Maya. Wonderful news, she exclaimed. The latest bridge test was successful. We maintained a stable connection for nearly 5 minutes, enough to transmit complex data packets. Ben's heart leapt. That's amazing. How much longer until it could transmit? Well, me. At this rate of progress, perhaps another month, the professor estimated. We've solved the primary stability issues. Now it's just a matter of scaling up the energy requirements safely. After finishing the call with promises to check in after the tournament, Ben and Maya found their assigned accommodations in the competitor's village. The room had a balcony overlooking the central plaza where trainers gathered to socialize and practice. 1 month, Maya said quietly as they stood on the balcony, watching the sunset paint the league complex in golden hues. You'll be able to go home. Ben heard the unasked question in her voice. And come back, he added firmly. That's the whole point of the bridge, so I don't have to choose. And if something goes wrong? If the bridge fails? Then I'll find another way, Ben said with conviction. I've got 2 worlds to protect now. 2 places where I belong. Maya smiled, some tension leaving her shoulders. Good answer. Because I wasn't planning on training a replacement partner anytime soon. Greninja joined them on the balcony, followed by Maya's Lucario. The 2 Pokémon had developed a friendship almost as strong as that of their trainers, sparring partners who pushed each other to greater heights. Tomorrow's the beginning of a new challenge, Ben said, looking out at the gathering of the world's best trainers. Not saving the world, just proving ourselves in battle. Sometimes the personal challenges are the most important, Maya observed. They define us as much as the grand ones. Ben nodded in agreement, the Omnitrix gleaming on his wrist in the fading sunlight. The device had changed him in ways he never expected when it first clamped onto his wrist all those years ago. It had taken him across galaxies, through dimensions, and introduced him to worlds he never knew existed. But perhaps its greatest gift wasn't the power to transform into aliens or Pokémon, it was the connections he'd formed along the way. With Gwen and Kevin back home. With Froka Greninja, who had chosen him despite his outsider status. And with Maya, whose partnership had evolved into something he wasn't quite ready to name but valued beyond measure. Whatever comes next, Ben said, whether it's the tournament, Obsidian's return, or traveling between dimensions, I'm glad I'm facing it with you. Maya's hand found his on the balcony railing, their fingers intertwining naturally. Partners, she said simply. Always, Ben agreed as their Pokémon voiced their own affirmation. The sun dipped below the horizon, ending one day and promising another. In two worlds separated by dimensional barriers but connected by the bonds of friendship and shared purpose, the adventure would continue, for Ben 10, hero of two worlds. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.